Okay.
Hey guys, welcome to another Sunday Sync. Juan Carlo and I were just chit-chatting. It looks like Josh showed up, so we'll go ahead and jump back into it. We were just talking about inspections and paying for them and how it's a necessary evil, even if you don't buy the house. But we'll go ahead and get started. Josh, you got anything to bring up or say hey?
Nothing really. Just figured I'd join. No,
Oh,
no, no real developments. Just listening in.
oh, okay. Yeah, I'm a little under the weather, so I'm a little foggy, so I apologize if I sound funny or go off the rails. But yeah, we were
How was
talking.
your time in Vegas, I guess?
Oh yeah, it was, man. Ryan's on too. Ryan was there. It was fantastic, man. If you guys don't go to those ORAAT events, you really should, man. It's a good time. Except I will say that the younger guys, holy crap, man, they all wanted to go out to the bars. My wife was there this year and we went out and I hung with them till I don't know, midnight, 1 o'clock, but I don't know, man. I can't. Those guys are out till like 5 in the morning. I can't do
Yeah.
that stuff, man. There's no way.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, Raymond, Ryan, I don't know if you met him, but Ray, that guy, man, he was out every night till 5, 6 in the morning, and then he showed up at the event. I think he went and crashed in his car at lunch or something. I was like, damn, dude, that's burning the candle pretty heavy duty there.
Yeah, that's hardcore, man. I don't think I can do that anymore.
Yeah, I used to be able to do that when I was like 20 years old.
Me neither, man. I when I was in my teens, 20s, and even early 30s, I was fairly active, army, worked out a lot, and I could eat like a whole pizza and it never affected me, and I could stay up for 3 days, stuff like that. Man, I eat like one piece of pizza, I'm full, and if I stay out past 1 o'clock, I'm a disaster. So I just don't know how age, man.
It's
Don't get
aged.
old.
Yep, exactly. Don't get old.
I'll get old. Looks like we had quite a few people joined here. I normally don't I don't set like agendas. We just kind of open free flow. But I will say that I was mentioning to Juan Carlo before we started. It's a necessary evil, but I've blown a grand, well, about $800 a pop on two different houses I've had under contract in the last month and some change, and it really sucks spending that, two almost 2 grand, but it's a necessary evil. You got to do it. So both the houses we had under contract were both disasters, to the point where, and you guys are going to love this, oh, at least I loved it. The house was a little rough and it looked nice on the outside and it needed some stuff, and we were prepared to put, like, it needed a roof, it needed some stuff. We were prepared to put, probably 30 grand into this thing just for repair plus the down payment. We're going to be into it 60, 70 grand, which is pretty cheap for a house in Chandler. So I thought it would be good, but then it came back with foundation issues and all these other major things, and I was like, oh man. But I'm watching. I figured I paid for the inspection. I might as well watch it, right? So I was watching this guy do the sewer scope because I always pay for that, and he's running.
He's
He's running the sewer.
he's hitting it. He's
He's
hitting. He can't get any further. He's like,
no,
what's
no,
going
no.
on?
He's doing good. The last house was clogged and 25 foot. I think I mentioned that before, and it was bad. But this house, he's running the sewer scope, and he gets all the way in. He goes, "Well, so far the sewer is the best part of this house."
That's funny.
You look like a stud to fossil.
That's
What's that?
good. I think that's some. I don't know. That's some catching some
Oh,
feedback from
someone gets
somebody's
the joke.
speaker.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty damn funny. So,
that is pretty funny.
all right. All right. So, anybody have any major opens or any questions or anything they want to talk about?
So I had a general question about you. You bringing up Chandler being like a really great neighborhood. So it's like as I as I'm looking at houses in Kansas City, I don't know. I know it fairly well, Kansas City, but I super great. But I'm thinking about what's the difference between a great neighborhood and, let's say, an average neighborhood. To me, is if I can get the right price for that neighborhood and get it cash flowing day one and get someone decent into that house, why does it matter?
Well, I think,
Other than, and I do understand appreciation, right? Appreciation is going to be way better in a great neighborhood, but you're overpaying for that right from the
yeah,
beginning, right?
I think it depends on your strategy, right? Because if you're like, I know people that don't care about cash flow whatsoever. They're doing it simply. Actually, I met a few at the event. He's just buying the houses straight up for tax write-offs, right? As long as they break even, he's happy, or make a few bucks, he's cool. or you got crazy people like me doing rent by room where I don't want a good neighborhood because I'm not, my strategy is not going to fit in that neighborhood generally. Like I'm not going to buy a house in Scottsdale what I would consider an A neighborhoods in general. You're paying a lot for them, and try to put a co-living house in there because
Right, yeah, I don't think that would work. It seems like the
Yeah.
neighbors would just complain about it.
So I think it depends on your strategy. What do other people think? There's a lot of people on here, so.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what other people think because it's like I was talking to a realtor in Kansas City and they were kind of like trying to talk me out of like really focusing on these great neighborhoods. And I was like, well, yeah, I could buy that house, but it'd be 3 times as much
Yeah. Well, what's your goal, I guess?
cash flow.
Cash flow. Okay. Well,
It's all about ratio. It's all about the ratio of equity to cash flow, cash on cash, return.
then,
100%. That's it.
I would use that as your metric there, right? And go
Yeah.
what the yields are. Yeah. See, I look at things like, crime and all that. But it's more from the perspective of I'm also cash flow with the potential for appreciation, but I'm also doing co-living. So I'm looking at it from, hey, how much crap am I going to have to deal with members in this particular area? I look at crime. I look at medium income in that area. Like I can tell you one house, and I'm not saying it's accurate, but you can see trends, right? So you look at the medium income in a given area. So the first house we bought was, our first house and whatnot, but it was the average medium income there is about 28 grand. So that house, I do have it's a good for my strategy, but I learned that the people in that area, the demographic I'm appealing to, even though that I thought I was doing a good job because within a mile, it's a great neighborhood, but you got to figure people living in my house are going to be working in let's say 15, 20 mile radius or whatever. And those aren't great neighborhoods. So I learned from that one. Is like, uh-oh. So I moved to a little bit better neighborhood. You can tell there's a golf course there, things like that. But also like the medium income in one properties, they're both up North Phoenix, is about 47 grand. And the other properties 52 or about 52 grand. But you also have to look at like that's household income. So you got to look at like, is it married couples? Is it single people? That kind of thing. So it matters. And then Chandler, just to give you a perspective, Chandler in the areas I'm looking at, it's 87 grand medium income. So it might be a little too far for me, but I'm trying to find a neighborhood that's like this particular house we just had under contract that we just dropped, that we did as an unrepresented buyer, by the way, a no agent, just FYI, you can do that if you didn't know. Is the worst house in the best neighborhood. It was an awesome neighborhood, which I did have concerns about, but it would fit my strategy. It had the parking. I could do 8 bedrooms, all of that. So I figured, I'll give it a shot because the reason why is I was buying as a primary. So it would low cost to entry, low barrier to entry. Instead of dropping, 20, 25, even 30% down on these things, I figured I can get into it to 25 grand, do the fix up, and then run a co-living on my own to see how it went. So yeah, I would say look at different metrics in the area. City Data is a good website. I know a lot of people use some others. Maybe that might be something to ask since nobody's responding. Like what sites do they use to compare?
Yeah.
Do you guys have websites you use to look at markets? I'll put some in the chat while we're waiting. I'm gonna put I'll be right back. I'm stay here, but I'm gonna grab some bookmarks and throw them in the chat, the ones that I use.
I mean, I just use Zillow and Hotpads, but I'm kind of new, so keep it simple.
I kind of use my eyes. Like I like I mean I drive into these neighborhoods and drive around these neighborhoods and then that's kind of the eye test, and just get a feel for those neighborhoods. And like I said, Kansas City, and I would rely on other people too. I think that's pretty valuable, like real estate agents or people that live in the areas to give input on that.
I had one question for the group about renewals this year for 25, looking at some existing tenants. Maybe they stay, maybe they don't. Honestly, I got one of them I don't want to stay. I'd be happy to replace. What do you guys do with renewals? Like, how much lead time? 2 months ahead, or you reach out? Do you go month to month, or you do it 1 year at a time? What do other people do with their renewals?
That's a good question. I think I would, I mean, I don't have any tenants right now, so, but I think I would go year to year, and it seems like 3 months ought to be plenty of time. I don't know what other people did.
We
90
we
days?
90 days. I mean, 1 year, that's 25% of the entire lease.
we're doing a 60-day, but we also do an inspection of the property twice a year. So we
Yeah,
do an inspection about 90 days out. We're doing an inspection, seeing how they take care of the property before we issue a renewal.
that's a good idea.
That's a really good idea. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
that's a really good
fantastic.
idea. Yeah, I would definitely get in there.
That's just how we handle all of them. We always do an
would,
inspection before we
yeah,
issue a renewal.
I would try to get in there probably a couple times a year to get an
We do it
idea.
twice a year. Twice a
Yeah,
year.
I think that's
Anything
my
more than
plan.
that, you're starting to irritate the tenant.
Yeah,
So we
yeah,
think twice a year is about the right metric.
yeah. Here's a question on that. I mean, what about like we've got all these like all this technology now, like doorbell cams and other, you know, is that appropriate in a rental?
Yeah, we don't do any cameras. No, not
No,
from our side. I think you
I
would
don't think I would
cross
like
some
it
issues.
personally. I
Yeah.
wouldn't like it personally if I was renting. It's a
The
little
first
too.
the first inspection we typically do about 4 months in.
Mhm.
And then the if you want to say the last inspection is that 90 days before renewal, somewhere in that range.
So that's when you make your
do.
decision whether you want to
Yep.
renew or not.
Yes. Because that first 4 months, say 3 to 4 months, is around when we do it. We're also seeing if there's any violations. Are they changing out the filters? All that stuff is part of the inspection. Now, I have a property management company. This is not just for my properties, but I do it for all of our owners' properties, and then we issue them where they get a copy of all the pictures we took.
It's a good idea. I mean, it
Usually
takes
about 60 days before the renewals.
60.
Yeah, 60 days. And then they have and then 30 days they have 30 days to decide.
Yes.
I was going to read off the sites that just for people that might watch this later because they're not going to see the chat. So for people listening in future land, to steal something from Dion, city-data.com is one that you use for looking at sites. The HUD user, HUDUSER.gov is another one for looking at fair market rents, like using Section 8 and whatnot to base your rough guesstimate on your rents. And then the crime one is another one, community crime ap.com. It's COMMUNITY CRIMEMAP.com. Oh, map. Sorry. I'm a genius. It split the thing. Anyway, communitycrimemap.com. Oh man. Anyway.
There is another one, Neighborhood Scout.
Oh yeah, I heard that on Bigger Pockets. Yeah, Neighborhood Scout. That's a good one.
There's one I'm looking at for Kansas City. It's called cityprotect.com, and I'm guessing these are all competitors, and they're basically taking publicly available data and putting it on a website, right?
Some more or less, but I think some
More or less
different
aggregating it.
Yeah. I think it's best to use it. And I have seen there's tools like Privy and PropStream that are really good, but like Privy tends to be more, the bigger cities, it has more accurate data, but if you're a little bit rural, not so much. Whereas PropStream's sort of more base stream across the nation. It's just use it, and then your mileage may vary for different things. Those are paid, obviously, but all these we just talked about are free. Just FYI.
If you guys use Bright Investor,
I haven't, but I know Frank did a demo on it a while back.
yeah. So anyway, if you guys use Bright Investor, you can filter all those data at one spot.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a pay site, right?
Yeah. But they get Bright Investor gives more market also off market MLS also.
Right on. All right. So nothing pressing, anything else?
I have a question. How many months delinquencies we start eviction?
That's a good question.
How many?
You guys have experience
I do
on
not.
that situation?
Sure, one of these guys does.
Going to depend on your local laws. I know in Arizona, it's 5 days. Well, let's see, what is it? 5 days past the. Well, someplace. Never mind, that's not right. But anyway, I can start within a week. But that's part of the reason I chose Arizona. But like say in Oregon, I can't. Part of the reason I don't invest here is I have to wait 120 days past the 15. Well, if you put a 15-day, what do they call that, grace period. So I can't start the process. Can't even start the process until 120 days past the 15 days. So they could go, 120 days, 4 months, and I have to pay the mortgage that whole time. So that's one of the reasons I can't do it. But in Arizona, not the case.
Yeah, I have the situation that the tenant has been paying little by little, but like 3 months didn't pay off 3 months of rent, but only partial. So this month didn't pay at all. So I'm thinking, maybe can start eviction then.
What market?
Start it. Put a fire under their ass. Start it.
I'll give
Well,
you a
you-
little tip of
you
what
need
we
to-
do on collections.
Mm-hmm.
Say they're delinquent.
Mm-hmm.
If there's two ways they'll play you, but what we do, this makes sure that you get on the collection much faster. I'm just going to use an example of $1,000. And they say, oh, I'll pay it in 3 weeks. We won't allow that to happen, because what happens is they could delay and then never pay, and they bought themselves another 3 weeks. We say we'll agree to every week you have to pay X dollar by that week. And if you breach that weekly payment, we're going to start collections. So it allows you to start collections much earlier. If you have anybody delinquent, you need to put them ideally on a weekly payment schedule so that you can catch it earlier, or they're just continuing to delay you and allowing you to draw you out further and further out. That's what we do, is we put them on a weekly payment schedule so that we catch it earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what happened is November they paid the most but didn't pay it off for November. And December is the same thing. In January the same thing. And then February they didn't pay at all. The reason was the person had got laid off, and then they're applying for rent assistant. So, my property manager waiting for it, but now, this month he didn't pay at all. So I say, why don't we do eviction then if they cannot pay, right? Yeah. So another thing too, another property I have that so the tenant left and with the house all dirty, everything, we had to spend a lot of money to clean it up, to get to rent it out. And they pay half of the rent basically. So we take it out from the security deposit, and then plus the fixing and cleaning everything. So total they owe us about 3,500. And then we asked them to pay, they no response. So we send it to collection agency. Do you know how long we need to wait for that to get pay from the collection agency usually?
The
And
chances are slim to none.
Yeah,
Sorry
that's
to
what I
tell you.
think. You're probably never
so
getting your money back.
so then the collection agency is going to garnish their salary basically. They have employment.
How would they do that? They have to have a
Yeah.
legal document.
Yeah.
What did you
Yeah,
do?
that's
Did you hire an agency or do you have a judgment and sold it to an agency?
Yeah.
we send it to the collection agency. I mean the property manager.
All
You need
right,
to go to
so
court first. You need to go to
yeah,
court first.
go
Yeah,
to
you're
court,
gonna lose on
get a
this one.
judgment, and at that point, what you can do, you won't get a lot of your money back, but get a judgment and then sell it to a collection agency. You won't get much, but at least you'll get something.
Mm-hmm.
What, 10 cents on a dollar?
Also, you want to report them to a credit reporting agency that they didn't pay their rent. That way,
Yeah.
it's harder for them to find another place to stay at.
That might be a good tactic.
Do you have an
Like-
example of what agency would be?
I'll have to look it up.
So I asked
I think
my
it's First
property
Data.
manager
First Data.
what's going on, and she said that they will have tainted record basically. That they didn't pay the rent and also get into collection. If they didn't pay, it will show. It'll show in the record, in the credit report.
But it won't help you recover your $3,000.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey,
We'll
Mitesh,
see.
what was that credit reporting agency that you mentioned?
I think it's First Data. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. Give me a few minutes. I can look it up.
Okay, if you put it in the chat, because I'm not understanding how you're saying perf data.
First Data, yeah, the corporation.
First data, okay. Yeah, because I'm gonna go down that road a little bit too. So thank you. And also I'll echo what Brandon said. The very beginning, I know I do rent by room is different, but we do it week to week starting off because the demographic of people aren't the best with their money. So otherwise we'd be a whole month and then we'd get stuck with a whole month. This way we just get stuck with like 2-3.
Yeah, we do the collection. If it's into collections, we do a weekly payment to get caught up, trying to help them. The other thing I would suggest, this is not necessarily collections, but it's preventing an issue. So how does everyone handle, say they start renting on the 15th of the month? How do you handle that first month's rent?
That would be prorated, right?
Okay.
Prorated.
So what
and
most
then,
people do, okay, they move in and they get a prorated rent of half the month.
Mm-hmm.
What we make them do, their first payment is a first full payment. The proration doesn't count till the next month. That's to prevent people from moving in only paying a small proration and then you never collect another dollar from them. We always, a first full month's rent is due at the beginning of any proration. They get the proration credit the second month, and that's to collect as much dollars up front
Mm-hmm.
in case they don't pay. I brought that information with me at the ORAAT event. It
Mm-hmm.
never came up, but I wanted to share that. I probably will next year. Most people only collect the proration up front and maybe the deposit. We collect the deposit and 1 full month's rent up front. They get the proration the second month.
So do you guys
How
have a
about
minimum?
I just wonder, yeah, we can make the first the first payment is half month plus the next month, right? Can we do that?
I mean, you can. I think you're going to have less people that have that much cash on a renter side, that much up front. So, because you're already asking for the deposit also.
Yeah.
So that's why we do the deposit in 1 full month, and then they get that credit
Okay.
month too.
Do you guys
We
have
haven't had that issue. Go ahead.
Do you have a minimum cutoff for like credit scores, that you feel comfortable with? What is that number?
We don't publish a credit score. We have other credit guidelines. I've posted on here before our credit guidelines. Let me work on it and I'll put the link on here. We've got a pretty long 1.5 page document with our credit guidelines. Generally, I'm looking at a credit score of 620 or higher.
620.
But there's other things that are the part of
Yeah.
the credit guideline. We don't publish it as a number amount. I'll put it on here. Give me a minute. I'll put it on our chat.
Thanks.
I must be super naive. I mean, to me, 620 is pretty low, right?
It seems kind of low to me. I mean, I would be shooting for, even
That's
though I
the
don't have any
credit score
experience.
to qualify for a mortgage.
Okay.
Okay.
That's usually the minimum credit score for a mortgage.
That seems so low to me.
And Brandon, with that credit score, you've had properties for a long time. Any issues? Everything's working out pretty good for you, I guess, in your market?
Say that again.
Well, with that credit score of 620 minimum, I mean, you probably have one or two or a few that are close to that. Is it working out for you?
Yeah, so far we manage right now around 250 doors. Plus, mine are in there too, but we'll have on 250 doors, our delinquencies are pretty low. I would say we have on 250 doors, maybe 5 at most delinquent.
Nice.
The way we do this is we train them to pay on time. So on the 8th of every month, they get a 3-day notice. It's saying you've got 3 days, either pay or call us to work out the payment, or we're starting an eviction process. So we start the eviction process on that 4th day after that 3-day notice, regardless. We send it out no matter what. On the 8th day, it's training them to pay on time, because it's a pretty direct notice, but it's also the guidelines to start the eviction process. But it's letting them be trained that we're not playing around. Pay on time, or you're going to get that 3-day notice, and we're going to start eviction. And it sure has served us well.
So that's you said about three a month out of 250.
We'll have about
250 doors.
On 250 doors, 3 to 5 that are
That's pretty
delinquent.
good.
But we collect a lot of that. So usually most of that we collect, but that's what I'm telling you. On 250 doors, that's about all we have that are delinquent.
That's pretty good.
How much does it cost you to send that out after 4 days?
Oh, it's a demand letter. It's basically what it is. So you can send it. We send it where they have to. It's certified mail.
Because
you want it to look so official. I mean, you want them to know this is a business.
Yeah, no messing around.
All right, I'm putting my link to my credit criteria on here.
How about the weekly payment? How do you set that up? Is it like a legal document that says you need to pay every week, or is it just by word? Or how
Did
do
you
you
put it in the contract like that says basically, is it in the contract that language that says, hey, if you miss a payment, this is going to a weekly,
No, we still do, you're doing the 3-day notice. then you're doing basically a workout agreement. We don't do it as a formal document.
Mhm.
We are setting up a weekly pay schedule. Okay, you're making, and then we put it in writing, but I wouldn't call it a big formal document, but it is put in writing that we're both agreeing to this weekly pay schedule.
Brandon, the 3-day notice, is it notify them that they should pay the late fee also?
Yes, it's all in there.
Okay. And then when you guys calculate the weekly payment, is it including the late fee also?
Yes. And
Okay.
and whatever, we're trying to get them caught back up because we don't want them to get further and further behind, because it's harder to ever collect from somebody if they keep getting further and further behind. If
Yeah,
that gap's bigger and bigger, the
that makes
chances of you
sense.
collecting are getting harder.
It's just a psychological thing. Once you
Yes.
get so far behind, you kind of just give up and you're just like, I'm just walking away and I'm
Yeah.
gonna go hide.
I learned a lot of this. I know Jared knows I was in banking for years, my wife and I both, and we were doing collections for the banks. I learned a lot of these principles from banking. We were doing collections during the '08 crisis, and you can imagine how long those collection lists were. So we learned a lot of these tricks then.
Yeah, good. This is good, valuable information.
Yeah, for those
If I can offer a
Brandon,
brief story, I did the same thing recently. I didn't do the demand letter, but tenant was behind. He had a bunch of excuses and stories. And what I did was I said, I like you. I've enjoyed working together. But we have to pick your move out date. And that's going to be 30 days from now. Looks like March the 7th is your move out date. The bank doesn't care about the excuses. I like you. I know times are tough. I've been there, but the bank isn't listening. And so, they're going to change the locks and take everything outside. Not much I can do. That made it a very short phone call. I didn't want to listen for an hour about excuses. I was like, I like you. I enjoyed working together. It's out of my hands. And, I hope we can work out something soon. And that was a phone call. I said it 2 days later.
so for those that didn't hear, Brandon posted the link to that to what he was talking about, his rental thing in the chat. So
Thank you.
So it looks like you can sign up with Front Lobby to report on payments that are late or missed. So you have to go through like a third party to get to the credit reporting agencies.
cool. Thank you for that. Sorry,
If I may, question on that. Do you guys collect the social security number when you sign up a new tenant? Because you would need that data for doing the credit report thing,
Yes.
right?
Yes, we always get the social.
I think you have to have that to run the kind of like background check or credit reporting.
Yeah, I've been using the mysmartmove.com. So it sends me the report, but it does not give me the social. And that's something I should collect and improve. I, I have not collected the social, and I should absolutely be doing that. That's an important lesson.
Yeah, Jeff, you wouldn't be able to issue it on collections unless you had that piece also.
Right. They have a hard time finding them, right?
Yeah.
Who is this John Smith guy? Which one? There's 100. Like, whatever. Yeah, I'll learn by the minute, honestly.
Oh, the other thing is if you are going to go for an eviction, you need to stop collecting payments. So even if you collect $1, that resets the time that you can start the eviction process.
That is very dependent on your state. In my state, that is not true.
What state are you in, Robert?
New Hampshire. That I can collect as many partial payments as I want. That does not stop an eviction until they pay off everything.
Okay, I'm just taking notes, so you guys keep going.
It's not the case in the blue states. It was very liberal there.
Yeah, I know. You know, like Jared's glad to be in Arizona. I'm glad to be in New Hampshire because in a non-payment of rent, I can have a tenant out in like a month from the time I post notice to the sheriff arriving.
I got a guy I met in the sub 2 community down in Arizona at an event. He said he's in Baltimore and he had an Airbnb. He's got other long-term rentals there, but he had an Airbnb where a guy refused to leave. It took him over a year to get him out. It was absolutely insane.
Oh.
And yeah,
So much for the Airbnb guarantee,
again, state dependent.
right?
Yeah, state dependent. Again, in New Hampshire has a specific law around this saying that if you're running an Airbnb, you know, just call the cops.
Hey, can I do a shameless plug real quick?
Sure.
I was looking back at I got to show you guys this. I got to change my camera, I think. But Brandon knows, but he was there. But for the people that don't know, I need to fix my camera. It's not letting me do this. Oh, there we go. I don't know if you can see that, but Zuber gave me a belt and I was floored. You guys have been to the event. He gives out belts and thanks to his community and whatnot. And I was like, I'm sitting there in the front row and my wife's sitting next to me and they're like, oh, this next person, blah, 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 blah. And he's about ready to present it. And he's talking about him. I'm looking around, who's it going to be? And then he goes, Jared Osham. I'm like, what? I was like, holy crap. That was pretty cool. So anyway, sorry.
Good. That was good.
Yeah. To have Jared make presentation on co-living next year. Yeah, we'll see. Well, I don't know. I can't seem to pin down another house. We've got 3 and I've been making offers and even had 2 under contract and both of them end up being disasters. So a little bit frustrated, but push forward and we'll get another one. And hopefully we're trying to hit 3 or maybe 4 this year.
The numbers.
Hey, Jared, what was that award for?
Oh, Go Giver, doing these events. And
Oh, okay.
It's funny because it really is just selfish. So none of my.
Why is it selfish?
Well, because I've basically scared off all my friends because all I ever want to talk about is real estate and they don't care. And I get it. And I am who I am. It is what it is. And then in my own household, it's all I want to talk about too. So I try to, adjust, but so I couldn't get it out. So what I do, I join school and I'm on there, bleh, just because the only way I can get it out. And you guys, everybody here is interested in real estate. So it works. But in the real world, nobody cares.
Yeah.
I had something pretty interesting happen at the ORAAT event. I don't know if I shared this with you, Jared. There was a journalist there from Business Insider, and I know maybe some of y'all read. I read Business Insider, and I had that journalist come up to me. I'm doing an interview on Wednesday. Suppose she's going to be writing an article on the build to rent model that I do, and doing an interview with me.
Didn't you do an interview in the one of the rooms?
I did. I did that with Casey Franchini.
Brick by brick.
Brick by brick. That's going to be coming out here soon. And then that Kathleen Elkins is from Business Insider. We're doing an interview on Wednesday on the my build to rent model.
Wasn't there Business Insider also did an article on the event itself, didn't they?
They did. She did. She's the one that wrote that.
I saw that.
That was good.
I saw that article. I read that. I think I read some of that article.
It's really good. All right, we got quite a few people on here just in the background, probably listening in. You want me to go down the rabbit hole of what I've been doing, or just I want other people to talk? I don't want to talk about what I'm doing.
You guys, if the renter paying security deposit several times, not in full. Is it a good, is it a bad sign?
Yeah. I don't know, Brandon. I got your document pulled up. What does your document say about that?
It doesn't, I don't know if it says anything on paying through multiple
The deposit?
times
Mm-hmm.
the deposit. I mean, we don't typically have that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if we've ever had that in all the years we've been managing.
I would
think
imagine
it
that would
just,
be a red flag. And
yeah, to me, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And y'all take your security deposits only in certified funds?
Yeah, sometimes they bring in cash though to the office. Yeah.
what does certified funds mean, Brennan?
Like a cashier's check or money order. We don't take
Right.
cash. It's only in cashier's check or money order on both
Mm.
the first rent payment and the deposit.
Is that so legally down the road you have a track paper trail?
Mainly so that we wouldn't have to wait for that check to clear. We want to know that those are good funds. We won't
Yeah.
we don't even send them the lease agreement until after the earnest money is or not earnest, I'm sorry, deposit is given to
Okay.
us. Then we issue the lease to have them sign.
Okay.
That's to hold we tell them, the deposit is to hold the property, and then we'll send them. I mean, within 24 hours, we're sending it out or less, the lease to them.
So you're saying not sending them lease agreement after receive security deposit and first month,
Security,
or
just the
just
security deposit.
security deposit? Okay.
I've got a lady that is my manager. I don't manage all the properties. She's been in the business now 18 years, and I rely on her years of experience. I mean, she's seen it all. And so these are a lot of the practices she brought to my organization to help improve that, because she's seen it all. She's seen every scam there is, just about.
Yeah. Thank you.
Brandon, you're dropping some gold here, man, because I'm planning on doing my own next house, and these tips that you're giving apply to what I'm doing too. So thank you.
You're welcome.
That's the disadvantage you get when you start off hiring your property managers. You don't know all the intricacies, right, of these little tips and tricks. So then when you do get off the training wheels and you go do it yourself, well, then there you go. Thanks.
I'm reading through the Brandon's pet policy right now.
I mean, that is why I'm sharing it with y'all, because some of y'all wouldn't naturally know this. I want to share this as strictly to contribute, to help y'all, little things that we've learned over the years.
Yeah, for me, these are the points that I need to talk to my property manager, make sure they're
Yeah.
make sure that's what they're doing. Otherwise, sometimes investing out of state, you wonder, are they doing their job or not, right?
Right.
Yes.
No wolf hybrids? Come on, man. I'm just kidding.
I know. I mean, that's
I was
what I'm
looking
saying.
through
Like,
the
what's wrong with that?
I was
I'm like, no, why? Well, and he's got this is smart actually. I mean, he's got different based on weights of the animal. Like he charges more for bigger animals, which makes sense to me. But I wouldn't have thought about that.
Yeah, I could even request them to put in this is the thing that I want them to do. These are the points that I want them to do.
Take it and run with it. Y'all use it. You're welcome to. Sorry, my cat's getting away, but
Cats are fine. I don't mind. I don't mind cats in my houses as much as
Female
dogs.
female cats, Juan Carlo, with the ammonia though.
I only have experience with female cats, but I don't know anything about male cats.
But I
ours
think
is
the urine is more
Oh, do
ammonia.
they mark? Do
Yeah,
they
that's
mark
what I heard.
mark things inside the house? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know
we
that.
use
Just
ours
learned
as an
something.
outside, and he's just for hunting. I mean, he's killed a lot of the mice and
Yeah.
snakes and moles and all the different things around. That's why we got him. He's
Yeah.
a good hunter.
It looks like most of your backyard is pool anyway, and
Yeah.
you gotta get a shark for the kid. That's awesome, man. I'm so jealous. I'll get there someday.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
looks
don't think
super
the-
nice.
Don't think the cat's going to be jumping in that anytime soon.
It almost looks like Brandon's background's faked, but it's real. But it's so nice. It looks like it might be one of those green screen things.
Where are you based? That looks nice, Brennan.
It looks like, is that a palm tree or something? You got a palm tree back there?
It's we face Fort Worth, so we're just out of Fort Worth, and I can see downtown Fort Worth skyline from our backyard. We're up on a hill.
Oh,
It was cool meeting you in person, Brandon, and your wife. That was fun, man.
It was good. It was good to meet y'all.
I brought my wife too, and I didn't know how it was going to go, but she was pleasantly surprised. I don't know if you know Aaron Amin, but they hit it off. He's a super smart guy, man. That guy's. My wife's interested in doing the RAL, the residential assisted living, some point, but I want to get our co-living baseline. We got to get to about 8 or 9, and after that, we can go off and do crazy stuff.
Curious on in terms of the content for the weekend, Jared. Was there anything in particular that you or anyone that was there that you thought was like, wow, I learned something?
I was blown away that Graham Stephan was there. That was a shock. I don't know if, well, I'll answer your question, then I'll remind me to come back about the video that just happened with Zuber and Matt about their next year's guest that Matt wants, which is going to be interesting. But yeah, I really like the guy. I can't remember his name, but it was something Gay, the gay guy. I can't remember what it was, but Charles Gay or something like that. This guy was freaking awesome. He was flipping bras like to get he didn't have the money, so he just looked at stuff that was discounted and then either geo arbitraged it through like Facebook Marketplace, selling on eBay, or finding it in the stores. And this guy, man, an ultimate picker. Like, not you could put this guy in a desert somewhere and he's going to come out on top. He's just a badass, man. I really enjoyed him. And then the mindset thing was a little different. I get it. I know others will disagree with this, but the mindset one and the health thing, they had, and I know Zuber, and it was good for most people, and I'm fine with it too. But I use those times to go network with people because I can watch it later on the video. But for I mean, yeah, everybody was awesome there. I really like the fact that Zuber's doing the couple thing. And I was sharing the BKM, or best known method, that I have with people that were saying, how did you get your wife on board? And I'll just say it real quick. Basically, I gave up something that I absolutely loved, which was off-roading, right? I gave that up, and then it had a monetary value to it. So I didn't do it for that reason. It was a byproduct. So, if you come home and tell your wife, hey, honey, I'm going to quit my $200,000 a year job to go out and do real estate investing, she might it might be a shock to her, right? So, and so, the pilot was with the vehicle, but it doesn't have to be something you sell to make money. It could be time. Let's say you're a video gamer, or let's say you do all these different things that you're not spending time with your spouse. You might give that up and say, hey, I'm giving this up, so I'm spending more time with you, but also time with real estate investing or whatever. So anyway, it worked for me, and other people have done it and it's worked for them. But back to your well, I wanted to mention this. So next year, they're trying to get a name, and I have a guess at who Matt's trying to get, and I think it's Pace Morby. And for those of you know, that should be interesting because Dion's going to be there. I will have my phone recording that as soon as they approach the proximity of each other, just to film it. So
don't get that ick on me.
That all went over my head. So
So there was a well, I mean,
Probably good. Probably a good thing, actually. Maybe I'll just go next year and watch
yeah,
what
there's a little.
happens.
Just to say, there's a little tension between Dion and Pace. You know, FYI.
I picked that up.
Yeah, yeah. If you go back,
Is the tension about way of investing?
well, yeah, because I love Dion. I love him to death, and you got to know him. Like Pace doesn't know him, and Pace is in a world. He's what 350 million or whatever his net worth is, and he's climbing, and he's a hustle, hustle, hustle. In our community, there's people like that in our ORAAT community, but by and large, I'd say we're doing one rental at a time. Usually self-funded, maybe some partners, but in Pace's world, he's got what 20,000 people sort of kissing his butt and paying money to be in his community and doing deals, and they're just total. They're going, go, 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 go. And then he comes to an interview with Matt, who's also go, 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 and Mike at some extent, but not Dion. Dion's like true, slow, and steady, wins the race, and so Pace goes on for a half hour about all this stuff, and then he stops and starts talking to Matt. You guys got to watch the video. Matt and Mike, and then Dion, and Matt and Mike were like, "Oh, cool." And then Dion's like, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but I don't want any of that ick on me. I was watching it live whenever it came out. I was like, oh man, because I know Pace and he took it well. But then a week later, I was down there and I was at Pace's house and I'm doing this interview. And like a dumbass, I wore the ORAAT shirt. And well, I did it because I told Frank, hey, I'm going to be on this thing. I'm going to wear the shirt and represent. Well, it was after that video thing. So I get there and the first thing out of Pace's mouth was, oh, well, maybe I'm being recording this, but whatever. I don't care. He goes, oh, that's the group that's talking shit about me. I was like, he took it the wrong way. Like it wasn't meant that way, but that's how he heard it. And then, Dion's like, well, he should just get thicker skin. So I don't know. I think it's like, it's weird, but
I think it's like two ways of skinning a cat, right?
Yeah,
So it's like,
exactly.
I don't see what the conflict is here exactly.
Because knowing Dion, he was not doing it to make something disparaging. It's just his plan.
Yeah.
He just that model, what Pace is doing is not his model. He doesn't want to be a part of that.
Right.
And that's all he was saying. He wasn't even criticizing Pace. It really wasn't a criticism.
It was just about
Yeah.
how he
Yeah,
went about it. It's
it
just
was not
technique.
meant. It was not
whole
meant.
different
I don't
market.
think
Isn't it?
Yeah. From Pace's perspective, oh, looks like Dwayne has his hand up. But Pace's perspective, he's used to, all this positive stuff, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, bam, So
Yeah, all the
up?
houses are 1920, 1900, 1930.
Right. What's up,
50,
Dwayne?
occasionally come across 1950.
Yeah, I think
And that's much.
I think my question has more to do with I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know Pace. I think he's a nice guy privately. I think we all are. But I can be honest and say I don't like his caricature or what he sells. I don't like anything. When I listen to him, I run. My mind takes off. I can't I don't mind subject to whatever or Gator deals. But I see those things as the exception and not the rule. And he's made an empire out of the exception. And I don't think that's a normal course of action generically. So I may like the person, but I utterly hate his brand. So I don't know that I can consume anything he says.
Yeah,
It's just not for me. It's just not for me. Now, I'm not talking about him as an individual. He may be a very, very, very nice individual. I'm sure he is. I know. I do wonder with ORAAT and the brand that Zuber has created, if these two brands generically clash in audiences. I do wonder that from a baseline point of view. I mean, it's good entertainment, like you're mentioning, Jared, but I don't know how much to invest in that, and something that's not for me.
Yeah, for me, I learn from everybody. Like I'm not restricting anything, and I've learned a lot from Pace. I've learned a ton from Mike, Dion, Matt, Millennial Mike, you guys, Brandon, you. Holy crap, the bank stuff. So for me, I'm just taking in everything from everywhere, and then using what I think fits in my strategy and going from there. So it's like ultimate hybrid. And then me, I'm even weirder still because doing co-living out of state, I don't know anybody doing that. I'm sure there are, but most people do that in their backyard. And then I'm implementing like velocity banking and all these different strategies because I'm old and I don't want to wait 10 years. I know everybody says, oh, it's 10-year journey, but I want to be done in 2 more. I started a year ago. I got 2 more years, and then I want to retire, and then I'll do it full time. So I'm on a different path than even the ORAAT community, and I love the ORAAT community. I spent 15 grand and other mentorships, and then I spend all my time in the ORAAT community because this is where I fit. For the most part. So granted, not a lot of people doing rent by room, but but the people here, the community here is what I like. So that's why I like it here.
Yeah, I didn't say I couldn't learn from Pace.
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna say it again. I don't know how to articulate it any better. His caricature and what he sells and his brand is a complete turn off, though he may be a nice individual. I didn't say I could not learn from him.
Yeah.
That's incorrect. I can learn from anybody. Actually, I think I'm going to subject to my mother's house, to be honest with you.
Nice.
But again, that's the exception, not the generic rule. And I wonder if the two brands naturally clash. One rental at a time. I'm gonna get you from 0 to 1 to 3 to 4. Pace, rocket ship, subject to Gator loans. Go, 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 sell, 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 sell. They
definitely different. Yeah. Well, it's also
so
like the difference they were mentioning, Dion and Mag and all these guys talk about this as well, where entrepreneurship is different than just an investor, right? And I agree with that too. So
yeah,
I'm probably a hybrid of those two, right in the middle.
Hey,
right.
Dwayne,
Hey, Renee.
I agree with you on your subject too. I just did one with my daughter, but I'm leery about doing one with somebody else that I don't know, just from the fact of the risk involved in it.
Right. There's a lot of malaise and what the kind of research you really got to do it well. Pace has a lot of lawyers. He owns a lot of title companies. He's built an empire, and I respect what he's done. I do wonder if the banks are going to like look at that. When you cast too much light and it's too much money, you get a lot more eyeballs on things that you're doing than what you anticipate. I
Yeah,
wonder if that
well,
can. I wonder
they
if that
can
can
call
crash.
those,
I don't.
yeah, they can call
Go ahead.
those notes. And the thing about that is you can lose your down payment if you gave them any cash out of pocket. I mean, that's
Right.
only one thing that you could lose. You can lose any equity that's already built into the house.
Gotcha.
And they can also turn on you. The person that you're subject toing could basically, turn you into their bank if, for whatever reason, and they call the note and there's nothing you can do. So there's, the trust thing, we're setting that up so that it's some protection, but if it's somebody that you can work with, if the bank does call the note, and that's kind of where we went with it, with doing it with my daughter, is knowing the person and being able to work that out if the bank does come calling.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Again, the exception, not the
Yes.
generic rule, and build an empire out of fine print that a bank wrote
I would
with your lawyers.
say, Dwayne, it might be the exception for you and me and a lot of us here, but it's not the exception for the people that are in that community. That's their default. So
But there's a caution. The only caution, like for instance, in PA, there's a weird thing happening where there was a wholesalers task force by the local senator community here in PA. The Senate itself and the state Senate has come against all wholesalers with the explicit objective to go after subject to. And it's a back door for what Roth is doing. I mean, what NAR is doing, like NAR has sold all their database out to Zillow, Redfin, and all that stuff, right? So the way they make it up to the people who get certified as real estate agents is they go after states where wholesaling starting to happen, and you'll see it in Louisiana, you start to see it here in Pennsylvania, and so after a while there's a caution there that you just can't throw to the wind. That's all.
all they're doing is
I'm very direct about my bias. I am not a fan of this individual.
yeah. Well, that wholesaler thing, all they're doing is double closes anyway. So
Yeah, they require you to be have a real estate license to do so. In Pennsylvania, even after a double close, someone can go after 3 days and say I was lied to, and the title is forced to retract. That's how nasty it's gotten here in PA.
Cool deal. Oh yeah, if Matt convinces Mike to try to get Pace on for next year, that'll be interesting. So that's all I was trying to say. Uh,
Some
how many-
people have a lot of energy to do that, to do sub two for so many times.
yeah, it does take a lot of work. I've not successfully closed one, which is why I shifted gears and went conventional because I'm in sub two, but it didn't work for me. And to what Dwayne was saying, not Pace. I like Pace. I think he's a good guy. I know he gets a lot of flack and all this money. He doesn't receive a dime from any of the sub two stuff. That's a separate company that does all that. And they collect it all. I'm sure there's some relationship there, but on paper, he doesn't get that. He doesn't tell that publicly, but he doesn't feel the need to defend himself about that. But which good for him. Uh, Crap, I lost my train of thought there. I said something in the beginning and now I lost it. Oh well. All right. Next. Nice shirt, Brandon.
Thank you.
Matches the palm trees in the background.
That's right.
Hey, Brandon, I just watched one of your videos about I think it's your, what do you call it? It's short-term rental. It's Texas.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful house. And I wanted to call you out on something that I would really impress me is you brought to the attention about how to go at the front end or the back end of the development. Really, really commend you on that. I agree with that 100%.
Well, thank you for that.
What do you mean by on the back end? Are you talking about lots?
Well, I was sharing. Now, my background is in commercial lending. I used to underwrite subdivisions too.
Mhm.
There's another thing I hadn't told everybody, but I used to underwrite subdivisions for different developers. And what I saw the natural trend is the highest profit margins are to buy at the very front end when they're trying to get the subdivision established. You're going to get some of your best pricing. And then also at the end, when the developer's done and wants to be done with the project, they tend to discount. Those are the two times where you're going to get your best opportunity for purchase is at the very beginnings and the very end. In the middle, you're paying the premium as those prices have already started to skyrocket. You don't have as many opportunities to make some profit. And that's what I've watched on all these subdivisions.
You're right. I bought in the subdivision in Eastern Washington when they just started. Now the price is like 70,000 more for the same house.
Yeah, it tends to, those front end houses, if you want to say it's the houses, they're trying to establish market and pricing for that subdivision, and it's a work in progress of pushing those prices up.
Mm-hmm.
Buying at the very beginning, they're just starting to push those prices up, and then they're continuing after that, and you're getting that appreciation. And then at the very end, say they've got a few houses left, they're already mentally done with the project. They'll discount them just to be done, even though it harms all the rest of the owners.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're pulling out. They're done. They're
pulling out and they're done.
Go to the next. My ex-father-in-law bought I don't know how many acres up on the side of a mountain in Kennewick, Washington. Took him 20 years to pay it off. He bought it on seller finance. 20 years later, he knew the path of progress was coming in. And so he got it fairly close, but he had to work with the city to get water and sewer a little bit further to his property. He did that. And now he carries notes on 50 homes in that entire property. Guy's set. I mean, talk about, we're talking 10 years. That's a 30-year journey. So 20 years of that was waiting, just, waiting for the city to catch up while he's paying on the note. He almost got divorced over the deal. But talk about a guy with some vision. He didn't even graduate high school, and this guy's a multi-millionaire.
I shared some other things in that video. Renee probably remembers of a lot of times on most subdivisions, they'll put lot premiums based off the location or where that lot is in a subdivision, especially where there's ones with amenities, that lots have different pricing based off of location, even within a subdivision. And this one, they mispriced the lot. This is of course, a resort and a beach resort. So they price the lots based off the view and location. And this one, they made a mistake. And I've seen this happen in some other subdivisions. They made a mistake and I caught it. And this lot was a in-between lot that had a permanent view to the beach and the Gulf of America.
Yeah, I see your view. Your view is beautiful.
Well, thank you. I wished I would have
Not right on the water, but a beautiful.
I
Yep.
wish I would have showed what view I had. I thought about it afterwards, so I forgot to get on the second and third deck to show the view. But we got a permanent view, and I'll just share this story if y'all don't mind. So we're driving back. We've bought this lot, and this is more than I've spent on any lot. This was, let's see, when was this purchased? 5 years ago, something like that. $225,000 for a 5,000 square foot piece of sand. So you're sitting here thinking, "Oh crap, did I make a mistake? What am I doing?" You're going through all those mental things on the way home, and I get a call from the executive vice president of Palmilla Beach, and no, I'm the only one that signed the contract, even though we've agreed. And so he calls me and we're driving back. I can almost remember where I was when I took the call. And he says, "Brandon, we've got an issue." And I'm thinking, "Oh crap, they figured it out. They mispriced the lot." And I knew he did. And he says, "You know what?" He says, "I'm a person of my word. That should be priced 100,000 more than what it was. I'm going to honor it. And you just got that 100,000 in equity." Now that's a testimony to a solid organization. But it sure reassured me on the way home. I felt good after that. I was like, "Yeah, I scored a good one there."
Yeah, that's a good start, right?
Yep.
So you sat on that lot for 5 years?
No, I'm just trying to think back when roughly I bought it. It seems like 5 years ago. It might have been 4. We sat on it for about a year, kind of prepping to build, and then we started construction in I think it was early 2020 or at the end of 2019.
Oh man.
And then of course, yeah, it was during the COVID reaction. I'm building a fourplex and that house. You don't think, man, I was that weekend when everything was shutting down, I was thinking, "Oh my gosh."
You're freaking out.
Because when you're in a build, you're very vulnerable in the middle of a build. And
Are you
I'm thinking,
carrying hard money on that by chance?
I was using bank money. I've never used hard money. I use banks, but I was worried, but it turned out okay because the house down there doubled in value. We were using the principle of be the smallest house on the best street, and we were the smallest. Even we were second row. We were almost 2,400 square feet, when everything beside me was above 3,000. And then the ones right in front of that are first row that directly look at the beach. Those were most of those houses between $4 and $7 million. And so I'm second row, but I'm still the smallest on the street. So I got a lot of appreciation pulling me up since I was the smallest. But that was all we could afford. We built what we could afford.
Yeah, that was like one of the things I learned from the guy this weekend that was talking about flipping bras. He bought a house off eBay.
Yeah.
He called it the crack house, right? So I didn't even know you could buy a house off eBay.
I didn't know that either until he said it.
Yeah, that blew me away. And then his brother-in-law or somebody said, "You bought this?" I think I would just walk away and lose the money. But he made it work, man.
He did. He did.
Yeah, that guy's cool. I see his Twitter posts. I think he goes by like the Frugal Gay or something on
What's
Twitter.
Yeah, that's it.
I want to follow that guy.
Uh,
Frugal. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that guy was phenomenal, man.
What else did he share about hustling? Was he just
Oh
curious?
man, he bought a house, the crack house, I think, and he said that because I think it was Matt asked him. Matt the lumberjack is a big fan too, and he got up there and asked him. He asked him dollars, and he came out and said about picking. You know, when you go through stuff. He was flipping bras and purses. He bought a bunch of purses at like not a Target, but a
Shampoo bottles. He found
yeah,
shampoo that, I mean, all kinds of
all
stuff.
kinds of stuff. Then what he would do is it wasn't like I think he's in where's he in Detroit or somewhere like that or
He's in Texas, and Ohio.
oh, is he
He's in
really?
Dallas. He lives
Well,
in Dallas.
yeah, he lives in Dallas now, but I think at the time he was up in Ohio or something, and maybe I don't know Toledo or something. But he said that he bought purses from there and bought a whole bunch of them because they're all on discount for $1.50. Loaded up a van, I think, and then took them to Texas and sold them down there or something like that. But the best one was he bought a house, a hoarder house, and the person wanted three things as part of the contract, and I don't remember what they were, but one of the things he found was a 15-year outdated cologne or perfume. I can't remember which, but there were cases and cases of these things. And I guess so he took one of them, he knew what they were worth, but he put one on eBay and tested it out. And they went for like $90 a bottle. And he got all these for free. So he made 10 grand off a bunch of crap that was left over in the house, which was probably worth more than the house.
And he kind of just bought, from what I've read on his Twitter, he buys like $90,000 houses in Ohio and just rents them out. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's pretty much what you got from that in terms of the real estate stuff, but
Yeah, nowadays, but when he started out, man, he was just a scrapper and just that's the kind. You guys know Curtis from this group or the ORAAT, RE turned PE or PE turned RE. He's a PE teacher. If you haven't,
Yeah.
yeah, if you haven't met him, you got to talk to him. I met him when he first started a couple years ago up in Washington. I met Dion and Millennial Mike and Curtis at this event. And that dude, there's nothing going to stop him either. And this weekend we hung out too, and he is just one of the nicest guys. And he'll figure it out. He's just going to figure it out. He like bought this duplex and walled off this little thing. Didn't have a shower. He had a bathroom and a sink, and that's where he slept for a year because he bought as a primary and he showered at the gym. I mean, that's somebody who's just going to figure it out and get it done.
yeah,
So
that's awesome.
yeah, I see all these people, and talk to different people and oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. Meanwhile, they're making like 150 grand and driving around Mercedes and stuff. It's like, yes, you can, but you need to sell that Mercedes and maybe downscale there's ways to do it. It's just what you choose to do.
I agree.
That was the good thing of going to the event. I think the speakers were good, but I think I got as much out of just visiting with all the different models, what everybody was doing. It's worth it to network with the group that's there. It's just as valuable, if not more, than the speakers. Is all the networking and hearing everybody's story of how they're doing it, and then you can probe further. But that's what's I enjoyed.
Yeah, looks like Dwayne's got another question. Fire away, Dwayne.
Yeah, I think I back Brandon up with that statement. It was amazing meeting you all. Jared, to shake your hand was literally amazing. And then like I love how organic that whatever we do in our own niches, how organic it is, and the things that we're doing to make things happen. It just blows my wig back. I mean, it's just amazing. Like, Brad, like Jed, I didn't know you were. I knew you were doing room board houses, but I didn't know like you were. I thought it was just a one off. But to meet you to say no, this is my plan. I'm like, whoa. I said that's pretty amazing, and then you're killing it.
If
Like,
it's not
wow.
broke, don't fix it.
Don't fix it. You're killing it. That's the thing that scared me. Like, wow, you're knocking it out. Like, okay, that was amazing to me. So
I
I
had
thought,
I had to get on my phone and show somebody the numbers because they just flat out didn't believe me. Because I don't know if you guys know, we had an 8K net month last year on 3 properties.
I mean, I was like, yeah, you got to be kidding me.
That's stupid, right? Like we're usually about 6,500 net, and that is stupid. But I was like, nah, man, here's all my numbers, here's my expenses, here's my repair costs, everything. Had it all broken down. He's like, what? And so he sat with me at lunch for a half hour and wrote down there. I mean, he asked me all these questions. it was weird, man. He's like, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you." I'm like, "Yeah, sure. What do you got?" He's like, "No, no, no, no. I mean, I need to talk to you. I need." Okay, so at lunchtime, he sat down with a notepad, and it sucked because I didn't get anything out of him. I was trying to ask him questions, and he wasn't having it. He was just like, "Bam!" right down there. It was weird. And likewise, it was awesome meeting you, Dwayne, and everybody else that I met on that's on here too. It was fun. You know what the other thing too was? It wasn't like any of the other events, because I think probably because of school community, and we're talking right now, is when I got there and I was talking to people, it was more like friends, like Brandon, like I'm jumping on a limb here, but I feel like kind of we're friends, like,
Absolutely.
hey, man, how's it
Absolutely.
going, and I'm sad though that their wives didn't really meet. That's or not really, I was like, that kind of
Yeah,
sucks.
I thought about it after after we
Yeah.
left. I was like, you know what? They never met. They never met.
Yeah. Well, and then Frank wasn't there. That kind of that was sad. Oh, I got a video I got to send to Zuber because I filmed the time when he was, doing the belt for Frank, and his wife's fine. She's doing good, so that's good. So for those who don't know, Frank's wife had surgery, and so he couldn't go. So,
Okay.
but yeah.
The what do you call it? The advertisers out in the front desk. I think one of them was named Dylan. Dylan, I forget the other guy's name for the loan company, the private lending, whatever. They said they said, "Wow, it's like everybody here is friendly. Do you all know each other?" I said, we kind of do." I said on our private communities, a lot of us do kind of like run into each other on our east. I'm on the East Coast community, and there are a segment of communities we kind of do, and then we come all here to get together, and it's like, "Hey, how you doing?" So he said, "Yeah, it seems like you all just like know each other." Like I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of cool."
It is cool. Yeah, looks like Lars has his hand up. What's up, Lars?
Hey, I have a question. So, we're kind of transitioning to the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania market because I can't sit, we just can't save up quick enough for our buy box in Delaware. For an example, our buy box in Delaware has gone up 10% over the last 6 months, and the margins are already low. So you can
Lars,
imagine.
did that deal work out for you, Lars?
What's that?
Did that deal work out for you in Delaware? There was a deal I remember a while back that
Yeah,
you were gonna
no.
buy.
So yeah, I have. I bought in July of 23, and I've been trying to buy since then, particularly after I got back from deployment. Well, relatively so, and it's just no, it's the one or two, I got outbid on a couple, the other ones needed, yeah, the margins just aren't there, right? It's a very
Okay.
appreciating market.
Right, right,
And
right.
so it's kind of two steps forward, one step back. And look, if I fell into a lot of liquidity, then that changes everything. But I'm going to make that assumption I'm not going to. And so we're going to keep what we have in Delaware, and we'd like to get another one, but we're going to transition over to the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania market just because it's more of a cash flowing market. And frankly, I I want to buy something that has cash flow. I want to buy Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania has a lot of multifamily and like actually, decent or okay or good parts of town. Whereas in Delaware, all the multifamilies either by the university, which never comes on the market, you have to really know somebody, or it's in a part of town or it's in like inner city Wilmington, which Starbucks doesn't even go near, you know?
Yeah, when Starbucks won't go there, that's a message.
But that's the only place. So all your duplexes on the market there in Delaware, it is, it's where Starbucks won't go. And my property manager was like, "Yeah, I don't go there." She's like, when she first started out, she was willing to take some there, but she's completely like, "No, I'm not. Forget about it." So, when the property manager you've had for the last 10 years and that you trust and everything, and and Starbucks won't go in the area, and then the margins are too low, or the cash flow just isn't there, and you can't save up fast enough for the down payment on the houses, right? Then so we're gonna go to Pittsburgh. So we're gonna do the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania market. So
Hey, Lars,
What
so
was
you
it?
said that
What
you're
was
a
your question?
military?
yeah, yeah. So my question is this: so I'm looking at a quad up in Beaver, PA, and the property taxes. I guess they did a reassessment, and their property and their property taxes went from like 3,000 to 8,000 between 23 and 24. And the taxes, and I was looking, the tax assessed value is at $422,000, but yet they have it on the market for $300,000. So my question is this: not saying I'm going to put an offer in. I'm not for sure going to put an offer on them, but I was kind of looking at it because with $8,000 taxes, it barely cash flows. But if you can. But anyways, I was going to say, well, given that he puts on the market for 300,000, if I bought it for let's say 290, 280, something along those lines, maybe even 270, then could I just go to the county and say, look, it's worth, look, you guys assessed it for 422, but clearly it's not worth that. I just bought it on the open market for 270 or something like that. Or do you think or would they just hold firm and therefore it's not worth it?
Is it a secondary or a primary that you're going to the county and saying that with?
It'd be an investment property.
Well,
This
they're
is a
gonna
quad.
if are you gonna live in it? Okay, I got you. Are you gonna? I mean, you get my. All right. I think
Yeah.
they would have more. I don't know. I would think they would have more leniency if you were gonna live in it, or say you
Doesn't it
were.
doesn't it reset at the sell price?
It does reset. That's right, Matish. It does reset the sell price. They do that, but but that depends. You can have an argument. You know. So you're right, Matilda. When you either you finish the basement or add when you start adding equity on, they find more reasons to tax you, especially in a neighborhood like Lars is talking about. Yeah.
Well, Lars, you might want to look at what they assessed. I mean, the
Right.
value,
Yeah.
like I could tell you, my wife fought for the last 9 months and won. Because our price, our taxes were about 8,300. It's $1 million home or whatever, but 900, whatever. So our taxes were assessed at like 8,300 or something, 87, somewhere in there. And within 1 year, they jumped to 14,700. And I about had a
Oh
cow. Our monthly payment
God.
went up a bunch. And so we paid it for 9 months, but we got a check back. But it come to find out, they had assessed the house. It's a big house, but it's technically a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, and they assessed it as a 5-bedroom, 3-bath. Not that should jack up the prices that much anyway, but they did in this neighborhood. I guess the big deal. So anyway, she fought and fought and fought because one of the rooms, even though it's a bedroom, it doesn't have a closet, so technically it's not a room. We use it as a room, but as a media room. So anyway, she went back and fought him and got that reduced back to the other amount in the 8,000 range, and we got a check back. So that was pretty cool. So you might, what I guess my point is, check to make sure what is being assessed is what it actually is. Like that property you're looking at, say it's a
Yeah.
3-2 or something, and they have it listed as a 4-2. You might be able to pick it up and then go fight them on the bedroom count or something like that.
Yeah. That and actually, Jared, wouldn't it be also true that if that neighborhood is being assessed from that perspective, the rents should naturally go up to match the uh the upscalability of the community. Like if you're going from a C minus to a C plus, the rents should be like in kind for that assessment, for that tax assessment, because it's a more desirable place to live. So large, you might counterbalance, you might balance it out.
Yeah, but I would look at area average rents, make sure because
Right, right.
it's a nicer neighborhood doesn't mean jack. Like I've got properties in way better neighborhoods, but of course I'm doing rent by room, but they rent for the same because that's what the market will allow,
Allow.
right? So if I try to, it's even for me, if I go up $10, I don't get anything. It's crazy how tight the margins are in my
True.
strategy. Yeah. It's crazy, but that's a different strategy. So
But if they're going up, like if his taxes are being assessed, it's not one, it's a good find. It sounds like the neighborhood's changing. So at least your equity on the appraisal side seems to be hot within 24 months. You might see an uptick, but it'll be locked away,
Well,
illiquid. But
you bring up a point where if because they assessed that quad in Beaver, PA for
mhm.
$422,000. It's listed. I mean, he put it on the market at 300. And guess what? It's still on the market. So, you know. Um so
how many days on market?
I don't know. I gotta go look because
Oh,
the
okay.
website I was kind of looking at. it might only, I mean, he put it on the market for 300. So, if you legitimately price something 100K below market, it should stay on the MLS for maybe a day. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
so you
realistically,
gotta get a yeah, to your point, you
so
gotta get a
there's no way it's worth what they posted it at. I mean,
right,
there's no way
right.
it's worth it what they assessed it at. No chance. Because if that was true, somebody before me
What
would
about
have
it?
saw that, and it'd be contingent like immediately.
What if it
Just
has foundation issues?
I was gonna
Plumbing
well,
issues?
but
say.
still, you're not gonna know. It would be contingent until it fell through. It'd be
Saying
pending.
that might be why he's listing it so low, because it's got some issues and they want to get out of it.
Right. And so get the camera scope, get the camera scope on the plumbing. I do not play with that. That's just
Yeah.
something, or a septic tank. You check the septic tank. If it has a septic, if it's tied into the city, get the camera scope and look at the roof. Because Jared's making a very, 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 very. I got burned on a camera scope for roots growing in one of my thing, and I had to get it washed out. And that's because I didn't get the camera scope. So it's a performing property, but it's just these you miss certain things. So don't another
Yeah.
thing too
Well,
about it.
what I was going to is that the appraisal, like if it appraises for below what the county assessed it at, that alone would be reason to,
Yeah.
hey, look, this ain't worth no 400. It's worth, 300 or, 270 or something like
But
that.
like Dwayne said, that municipalities and government in general, they don't like giving up money, so you're going to have a little bit of a contentious fight. I'm sure
Okay.
you'll win, but it's going to take some time.
Lars,
Okay.
Lars, you said that it went up from 4 to 8. Did it go up from 4 to 8 slowly, or did it go up
No,
quickly?
I guess they did a countywide reassessment, and that's where it got hit,
Okay.
and the taxes almost tripled. The property taxes almost tripled on it.
Could that be why they're selling, because they can't afford the
Right.
house and the
But
taxes together?
but the county assessed it for way more than
Have you
what it.
looked? So are you looking at other homes around it that don't justify?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's hard to find a quad, other quadplexes, but yeah, I was kind of looking at some others. I was like, anyways, I'm not. We're looking at a bunch of others, right? Like some duplexes and triplexes in other part of the Pittsburgh area. And that's just why I asked that question. I just, I didn't know how much of a fight it'd be or how big of a thing it'd be, because it's one of those where it'd be a little bit more than I would want to pay, but at the same time, if it's a quadplex and we can get the appropriate yield, and we can assess and we can get those taxes down, then maybe it's worth the higher down payment, etc., right? Going off of yield and so forth. So just that's why I was asking the question, because we're looking at a bunch of other stuff there too, in the area too. It's just nice seeing a new market where you can find duplexes like in parts of town that are decent to live in, and have them not be ridiculous, way too much. So
Was it built as a quad, or did it convert to a quad?
That's a good question.
I'd have to go to the county. I'd need to go to the county
Converted-
website and make sure that it was
Because
built as a quad.
if it converted to a quad and it wasn't built as a quad, you should be able to justify that it could be turned back into a non-quad, which means should assess at the values of the homes around it, not due to them pricing it as multiples, and that's why they're justifying the uptick of the value. So you should have a good argument there if it wasn't a quad originally.
Okay, so go to the county website, see what it was built as, zoned as, etc., and see if they have it listed as a quad or something.
Renee, that is awesome. I'm
Yeah.
sitting here taking notes, man.
I used to work for a municipality, so I just kind of know that it, depending on, and here's another thing too is, if it was not a quad before, is the meters, are there separate meters or a single meter? Because those are all things that you can take to the county or the city and say, listen, look at this. look at this. And a lot of times that's where you'll have some, room to, or some argument with them where they're going to have to take, step back and say, oh yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. And I know, and obviously, like it's obvious they're selling it because they can't, probably because they can't afford the property taxes. I mean, that's kind of a given with this. But again, I was, looking at, well, hey, quadplex, cash flow, et cetera, and also thinking about future cash flow and all that kind of fun stuff. So, anywho, yeah. So, anyways, it's not. I figure I'd ask the question because I have not gone through a re.
Lars,
Yeah.
well, I didn't do the research, but it sounds like you got a really good deal. Because if it requires a minimum amount of fixes for an up and coming, if you find that it requires a minimum amount of fixes for an up and coming neighborhood, is that you have evidence that taxes being assessed higher because it's a desirable neighborhood, then the rents might make up for all the headache if it's worth the investment. But that's a lot of research you got to do.
Yeah.
It sounds
No, and
plausible, is what I'm
I
saying.
just found this yesterday, so I have not done a ton of research on it, right? I've done a little bit,
Okay.
but I have not, um, you know, full admission here. I have not done a ton of research, but obviously the little research I found, I was seeing some discrepancies and like, wait, what? You know?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was something.
Lars, are you in
Yeah,
Dion's membership thing?
I am not.
So Tuesday he does his lives from 4 p.m. Pacific to 5 p.m. But then after that he does a members only. I think it's like $1. I don't know what the membership is, but it's cheap. And if you're in that group, after that he has a subset of people that they go in and they bring deals to, or things they're looking at and assessing it. So now it's not public, but it's private with about 10 to 15 people, and
Okay.
Dion will go over it. I had him look at one or two of mine, and the way that guy thinks is so awesome because he thinks about stuff that I would never think of. So it might be something just to check out anyway, even if you're not bringing
Yeah.
that deal to him. But then he'll ask you like, hey, if you don't have this under contract, do you want to share the address or no? So you may not. I don't think in this group nobody's going to steal it. Now, to Dwayne's point earlier, I would never do that in the sub two community because it would be taken. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying this is what I've seen and done. Like in the sub two world, you present an address, that sucker's gone. Someone's gonna lock it up. You know what I mean? That's the kind of people you got 20,000 people in there, so there's that. So our community's not going to do that. It's small enough to where law of averages says, you're bringing it up in that. Same thing with Dion's group. Plus, if Dion ever found about, I would not want that. I wouldn't want an ex-cop Marine being pissed at me. So I wouldn't, hey, buy it, go look at someone's deal. Anyway, but that just FYI, you might check that out.
Okay. Yeah. No, maybe might be something I'll do. Yeah, that makes sense. Because like I said, I'll do some more. We're looking at a bunch of stuff there in the Pittsburgh market, but like I said, that it was, yeah. And I obviously have a lot of questions about Beaver, PA, because I lived in Brookline like 30 years ago, something like that. So obviously, I have kind of a point of reference, and yeah, so anyways, but that doesn't mean things didn't change over that time, right? So, because a lot of things change over that time, obviously. So, anyways, but yeah, I'd have to do a little more digging on Beaver and so forth. How good the suburb is and that kind of stuff. Do some reading on niche or some other stuff like that. But yeah, it just looks like it looks like it has potential there, and I was just like, wow, okay, well, but obviously it's not going to work at $8,000 a year property taxes. That's like $2,000 per unit per year, and $2,000 per unit per year is fine in Oregon, but that's cheap for Oregon. But in Pennsylvania, that's a lot more, right? So, especially given compared to the value and the rents and everything, it's just too much. So,
are you working with like Marcus Shiro or Mikey or Jack?
yeah,
Guys?
and that's a big reason why we kind of decided, because there's already a decent amount of, you know, ORAAT community there.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so,
okay.
It's like,
yeah,
just like,
and I lived there. I lived there 30 years ago, but then it's also okay. You have a good network there. I've known Mark and I've met with Mark and Mikey. When I go with the military, when I go out to Hawaii, we always kind of meet up, and then obviously at the ORAD events we meet up, and so I just I felt that familiar, you know, that strong enough, not just one but other people, and then got to know Jack out, you know, got to go know Jack and while we're at the ORAD event, just I was like, well, you know, it makes sense though, and besides, doesn't hurt to have a tax write-off. Go watch your favorite hockey team once in a great while.
yeah. Yeah, we got that other Gary, Indiana. I think Lindsay invests there and a few others, and that, you know, Millennial Mike's backyard, and that way you can leverage some of his resources and everybody grows together. That's nice. Like for me, I didn't have anybody in Arizona, so I had to go down there and build my team out of just me. So
Right.
if anybody's looking to do rent by room in Arizona, let me know. I've got this. I spent a year building it out. So
Hey Jared, I might hit you up on that, man. I might even pay you to manage it.
I don't think I want that job. But
Jared, what part of Arizona?
well, we're all over. We're in Glendale, Phoenix, Chandler, and maybe Gilbert. But yeah, we're
So just put an offer in Surprise.
ooh, that's out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Already has a long-term renter in it. But my daughter lives in Buckeye, and that's where the subject to is.
Yeah, yeah, that's out there too. You like those outskirt places, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They've got some awesome brand new homes being built in Queen Creek and Santan. It's farther out, but I'm a non-HOA buyer. And there is a builder, a new builder that's building non-HOA neighborhoods. I was like, oh, I got to check this out. And I was all excited. And they were like $500,000 to $600,000. I'm all stoked. And then I found out that they only do septic. Can you imagine trying to have rent
Oh,
by room or even a tenant with trying to train people not to flush stuff down? I don't want any part of that, man. So I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. I know.
Jared,
What is everybody's oh, sorry. I was going to ask, like, what are all these builders' obsessions with building stuff with HOAs? What I mean,
If you're
everybody hates
building out,
HOAs, but
yeah, I
why they
think
build with HOAs?
Brandon,
Because all of us hate them. Like you can go ask a random person on the street, do you like HOAs?
And I mean,
70% of people are going to say no.
I
well,
do.
a lot of them have extras that, like a pool, a clubhouse, things that you're paying for other than just frontage of the development.
yeah. So Lars, you're coming at this from the perspective of an investor. You got to come at it from the perspective of a retail buyer, and that's what Brandon was about to say, I think.
Yeah, I absolutely, I won't buy without an HOA because it protects my value of my property,
right.
of what's around it.
And this goes
Yeah,
back
like
to
no,
strategy, like your
yeah, like
strategy, Brandon.
no RVs parked in the middle of your driveway. I got you, Brandon. Like a big
Well,
fat
it's
RV.
other things too. Now
No,
you
no,
can
but
have
that's
a
really
two
what it is.
extreme, but you can have two extreme HOAs. Both extremes are bad. Whether
Okay.
you got a Karen calling you on your tricycle outside,
That's my neighborhood.
or you have no standards at all, even though you're in an HOA and they're not enforcing the current standards. So you're looking for an HOA that's that perfect golden middle.
Right.
If that plays into your strategy, like me, I don't buy in HOAs because obviously that's a legal entity that could shut me down. So I can't do it with my strategy.
Brandon, how bad are the HOAs in Texas in the areas that you're investing? Are they pretty high or pretty? Because
Everything,
Arizona is around 100. I mean, the two that I'm looking at are 85 or 95 per month and 107 per month. But some of those in certain areas can go $200-$300.
yeah, it really does depend. Most of the HOAs around here, I can think of so many. I mean, a lot of the ones that are around me where I actually live, they run about $500 a month. I mean, sorry, 500 a year. Somewhere at $500 a year. There are a few that are higher that have a lot more amenities, but most of the HOAs around here run around $500 for the year.
See, I mean, when we were looking to buy a house, we avoided HO, we didn't want no part of HOAs. And so I guess I'm just surprised that everybody, that people are saying they like HOAs because I'm
Well,
just,
there's another piece to this too that I thought, Brandon, you were going to bring up. But like, if you're a developer and it's going to take you 2-3 years to build out the neighborhood, you don't want to sell the first house and then have like the Beverly Hillbillies
Yes.
move in, and then you can't sell any other houses, and the whole value goes down. So that's
It's to protect values.
right proponent of the HOA in the beginning. Like this neighborhood I bought in, it had HOAs for 10 years. It was built in 2005, 2015. It expired, and I bought in 2017 because I'm the guy with the RV. But just for a day or two. Like it's not like, and I even got called on that. I had this big 40-foot RV, and I even measured the driveway because there was the HOAs that were expired, the CCNRs were expired, that they weren't active. And I'm 50 and I'm the youngest guy in this neighborhood. So there you go. So, and I got, I had the big 500 horsepower Jeep, all this stuff. But anyways, there was no HOAs, no CCRs. So I brought the trailer here for like a day or two just to clean it out and load it up with food and all that. And they called me even on that deal. I was like, damn. But yeah, I'm not a fan of HOAs and things like that either. But
You got a boat too, Jared? You have
no
a
boat,
and
no
you cover
boat.
the boat and put it in the
No,
driveway.
I
and in the
store
wintertime it sticks
no,
out.
I store the RV at well, I did. I stored the RV at an RV place, and the Jeep was in the garage. So you never saw anything like it. It's nice. We keep it nice. It's not like we're
What irritate the boat part is like I just look at I mean to each his own. Welcome to America, but try not to be a poser with it, man. Like pay for the port. If you go if you about that boat, be about the boat. Okay, don't half-ass it. Okay, if you got the money, get the damn money. Okay, pay for the damn port for the other address. All right, don't half-ass it. Okay, be brolic with yours. Be strong with yours. Don't be half-ass boat, half-ass not boat. I put it in my driveway and irritate the hell out of me in the winter when you got to cover it. Sometimes it's open and kids break into it, raccoons get into it, and that disturbs my neighborhood, my peace. You're kidding. Do what you want though, man. It's America. Do what you want to do.
I mean, it was quite literally 1 day or 2 days, and I just did it to fill it
Yeah,
up.
that's pretty extreme.
Yeah, well, the neighbor right across the street.
Across the street.
Yeah, well, because we were here for 3 months at that point, and it was getting to be summer, so I was like, cool, let's pull this in. It was on the driveway, totally not blocking the street, and the old CCNR guy, because I was on next door, and since I was on next door, that's how the old guy that was running it contacted me, and I said, what's the problem? And they said, well, one of your neighbors complained. So I actually went around to every single neighbor, right? Just because that's who I am. And it was the funniest thing. All of them said no, but one lady, the lady across the street, Paula, she said, "Oh, that is so. Oh, honey, did you hear that?" I mean, just over the top. So I'm like, "Huh, wonder who that was." Anyway, and she's not even here. She lives in Arizona most of the time. Like they have a house that sits empty. Like they have houses all over the nation, and they're never here anyway. So she happened to be here and saw that, and I'm like, "Dude, really?" Anyway,
So I have a place in Vegas, and the HOA is pretty cool. Like if the grass is, well, not grass, weeds, things like that are growing, then they'll send me a warning, and I got like 30 days to clean up. So it's pretty cool. Versus the city, like the Detroit or there's one nearby, East Point. They'd give you like a week or less than a week to fix it, and like it takes 3 or 4 days to get me the notice. And so they'd help themselves to the grass, fixing the grass problem, and charge me like $400, which really sucked. So that's the advantage of the HOA, I think. So
yeah, we have an HOA. We technically have an HOA in Delaware, but it's just for it's just to cover the snow, and the city just sends us out a bill for $30 a year for it. But technically it's an HOA to cover the snow plows, but it's $30 a year, and the bill does not come from an HOA. It comes from the city or from the county actually, instead of the when I receive it in the mail. So I think that's kind of different.
You guys mind if we circle back to the fourplex?
Yeah, I want to pull it up here because now you get I'm gonna pull up the fourplex, see what I can.
Well, while out there, I realized I'd never used my VA benefits, and I've still got a pretty good W-2.
Nice.
That Wheeler may be leaving at some point, and it'd probably be easier to utilize it now. So, any advice on how to prep and like to be able, because I've never gotten a loan, don't know how to do that stuff yet, and
Yeah, just buy
how
the
about
property buy it in your name and subject to it to me.
That
sounds like Dwayne.
You can buy I don't know what the entitlement is. I know California may have a higher entitlement, but for me it was 750 grand was the entitlement, and we bought 2 houses with the VA loan. But one of the things about the VA loan you're going to have to know is going into the house, let's say the house is in disrepair, they're not going to let you buy a house that's not up to snuff, up to their standards. So either the seller or some way it has to be fixed before you close on that house. Like I'm talking dumb stuff too, like vent or little seams on the doors not there. Or another big one that's got me on 2 houses is the stupid little spring that goes on the garage door for fire it's like $25, but there's little things that they're going to nitpick you on. Like if it needs a new roof, you're going to have to get the seller to fix that. And unless somehow you can fix it on your own dime, if it's a good deal. But in general, it's just like FHA, but a little bit more strict, I'd say.
Okay. It's
well, he could combine. You can combine like 203K with a VA, right? You can combine certain things. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. Due to the 2017 Blue Water Navy Act, I think it's the 2017. Anyways, the Blue Water Navy Act, there is no max. There is no max on your first VA loan. It's only when you split it up. So you could, in theory, buy like a $2 million or $3 million quadplex, live in one and rent out the others. If you have the income and you can get it past VA inspection, all that stuff, and it's all separate meters and all that fun jazz. You could, in theory, buy that with a VA loan now, whereas you couldn't in 2016.
Okay.
The Blue Water Navy Act, and not all the lenders know about it. So sometimes you have to kind of be like, "Hey, dummies, there's this Blue Water Navy Act that says there is no max." Now, I'm sure I have not gone down that road, but I'm sure there's probably some other weird qualifications or something like that. And obviously the bank still has to, the bank may just say, well, tough luck. We don't care. This is our max for VA loans. And they would have a right to do that. But in theory, you could buy, there is no max on the first one.
Right. And I'm thinking more of an appreciation play on this piece than I am making I want it to carry itself but not have to produce profit. Everything else I'm interested in cash flow. So I would rather if I can get fixed rate on something that's going to grow long term and have to camp out there for a year or two, or at least the best I could camp out there for a year or two, utilize it, and then maybe roll it to Dwayne in 10 years or something.
Oh, I'd love to take it off your hands.
Damn it, Dwayne.
Well, and I don't know that this is a Central Illinois play. I just don't know that yet. So, but it's it's of the things that really sunk home, that and everybody seems to slide in creative financing someplace and their stories. And I'd never realized how big of a deal that was in investing. And well, what you do, Jared, with the rent by room is like the biggest or one of the biggest bang for the bucks you can get out of a property. And listening to Michael talk about, I was with Dwayne that night, listening to Michael talk about trying to roll things in sub 2 or creative financing, other people's money involved, and then put it on PadSplit or whatever. I thought, my goodness.
Is that Michael Mitsakian?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a beast though, man. Like that guy, I've known him for a couple years, and he is just on a whole new, and Pace is his mentor, right? So he's got access to him. So I mean, I wouldn't, it just like Dwayne was saying, it's probably for most people not the primary thing, but for people that have the time and energy to just and the other thing you mentioned there too, the rent by room thing, it's the Matt calls it the BS to income ratio.
Yeah.
Depends on where you're at on that threshold. I'm gonna tell you, man, it's a lot of BS in that play, but for me, it's worth it. So
I just never realized it was that big of an option. It was eye opening. I don't know my temperament. No, I'm gonna chill at Dwayne.
yeah, well,
We're gonna go low and slow.
well,
But there's other things.
yeah, there's also time like markets. Like right now, you're probably going to find more seller finance, that kind of thing. And also right now, you'd probably get your VA loan accepted. But I can tell you 3 years ago, if you were to make an offer with a VA loan, they wouldn't even look at it. Right. Because they don't want to deal with all the VA crap and the FHA as well. Like when everything was going crazy, a lot of people were doing cash and, doing, 5% down regular conventionals because you wouldn't be able to buy when you get 10, 15 people competing for a house. They're going to look at it and go, wait, VA, FHA? Nope, those are off the list. You know what I mean? But now nothing's moving. Well, unless you're in like New Hampshire or something. But certain places, most of the country is not really moving as fast as it used to. So now you can get those VA, FHA, all those things accepted.
Thank you. It's I'll be pestering you with questions as we get through farther into this. So anyway,
all right, it's a little slower right now, but I'm very worried what's going to happen come April.
I'm with you, man.
Once all the snow, because you have to remember, there's still like 1.5 feet of snow on the ground, and we're just barely breaking freezing. But come April, it's going to be scary, especially in the 2 to 4 space.
Well, with the rates, I mean, I know Zuber says it'll be 7% on average throughout the year, but you can kind of look at the macro. And I'm going to take a wild ass guess. I've said this before months and months ago, but I think early Q3, mid Q3, rates are going to start to drop. And I'm not talking about the Fed. So and that's why I'm making offers now. And that's why I'm so frustrated because I want to lock up a house or two before the rates drop because then all the freaking buyers come back.
You and me are thinking the same way there, buddy.
Yeah, and they will too, man. They're already like, even now, I can't even get my freaking home inspector because there's other people like me thinking the same way, at least investors. And the rates came down sub 7 and it just went nuts. And my inspector, I can't get anymore. So I had to switch up to a different company that had 3 or more inspectors so I can actually get an inspection. But yeah, that's what I see coming. So just take that as a grain of salt. I know the big boys like Zuber and all those guys, they know way more than I do.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Let's keep some in mind. You and Zuber may be saying the same thing because
average
7 average through the year, not 7 in June.
Right. But there's things happening right now that I can't even believe. And I checked in with it. Convoy Home Loans, they're going to come out with this here in a couple of days. Did you hear about the 5.8?
Yeah, no, I did. I did. And that to me,
yeah.
So that to me tells me that's a fund. I mean, obviously they have a pot of money and they're going to want to they want to put it to use right now. But that also tells me that that the smart Wall Street money is betting that mortgage rates are coming down because they don't do things like the way that US Bank or whatever does, right? They're they try to a lot of those funds are going to be like, hey, we think rate's going to be this in the future, so we want to lock up our profit. We want to lock up this type of margin. Right now we need to get, and we want to hurry up and get all of it right now before. So that tells you a lot. To me, that says a lot, right?
Well, the other thing about that,
Wall Street money.
Yeah, the other thing about that you really got to pay attention to is there is no option. It's 5-year prepayment penalty. No, like other DSCRs, you can do a 5, a 3, or even a 1. Now, judge me if you will, but the last 2 DSCR loans I just did, I paid up front for that 1 year because I know at least I wanted that option. I didn't want to.
You're betting that's sometime between 1 and 5 years, you're going to be able to refi it. It's basically what you're betting.
And I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Yeah. Whether it's year 2 or year 4, it was worth worth the prepay for you, right?
It's already worth it because I've got a 7.65 on one and 7.5 on another. I mean, if I wanted to, I don't want to spend the money now. I'll do it once it come down a little bit more. But
So and I'm looking at Convoy. Like that's the other thing is going into Pittsburgh. I can if I need to, I can afford to do the 25% instead of the 20% down or whatever, right? So this quadplex, I pulled up the information on the county website, and it says living units 4. So I guess it was a quadplex. I guess they have it on the county. What drives me nuts is that they don't show. They have all the information here, but they don't tell me what the taxes are. Like in Oregon, I go to the county website and it has all the information for the property search and has all the information. And here it has the tax assessed value, but it doesn't show me the tax bill. I'm like, where the crap's my tax bill? I don't know. There's something.
Can't you
Hey,
just go
Laura.
to the county assessor site?
Yeah, I'm on the property records, beaverpa.gov. Property. This is usually the format, like in Oregon or Delaware or whatever. This is usually how it looks like before I can pull up the tax bill. I don't see the tax bill on here.
Sorry, go ahead. You were saying something, Renee?
Oh, it was not to change the subject, but Lars, where are you from in Oregon?
I live in Kaiser, Oregon.
Oh my goodness. I want to come home. I'm in Minnesota. Been in Minnesota for 4 years and oh, if I could come back. I'm from Oregon. I'm from Beaverton, McMinnville. Well, I grew up in McMinnville, but moved from there, Beaverton to Minnesota for family reasons, but God, I miss it.
I'm in Forest Grove.
Oh, I'm jealous. Oh, we've got snow right now. Do you want our snow? We're supposed to get more.
Nope, I'm good.
Why else? Yeah, but don't be too jealous. Once I look at my income taxes and my tax return and I see how much I pay in taxes, I ain't jealous.
Oh, you better be, because Minnesota's not cheap. I don't care what anybody tells you. It's not cheap. I pay 11,000 in taxes on my current home a year.
Jesus.
Yeah, so yeah, don't be too jealous.
Well, I mean, that means, well, I can see Minnesota being expensive. Minneapolis. I actually, when I was going to school at Oregon State, we were looking at potential jobs, and I didn't get any of the jobs. I made a lot of final rounds of companies that were headquartered there in Minneapolis, flew me out and everything, but I always missed. And
They've got a good economy. They got a good economy. Big companies. But they're definitely a tenant friendly state. So to get somebody to live a rental could take you over a year.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I kind of view Oregon the same way, which is why people go, "Oh, why do you invest in Delaware?" Well, I'm not saying Delaware's the most conservative state, but it's more conservative than Oregon, Washington, California. That's for darn sure. Pennsylvania.
It is, but I would definitely say that the market's strong in Oregon. I've been looking at some properties there just because I know enough people to look, even though I have not made any attempts to make any offers. But they've remained, especially in the areas I'm from, the Beaverton, McMinnville, Newburgh. They're strong when it comes to their price values. The house that I used to live in, I'm just dumbfounded that it's worth more than the house I live in Minnesota. And I think I live in a better house in Minnesota than Oregon, but they're priced definitely higher per square foot. And I know that county, so I live in the city in Minnesota. So I think that's a big reason why property taxes are much higher than if I was in county. And I'm from the county in McMinnville, so I was basically outside the city limits. So I paid county taxes, not city taxes. So my taxes were definitely lower there. But I mean, so I'm not comparing. So that's probably not a good comparison between here and there with that. But price values is what I was looking at for the same type of home here versus Oregon. Stronger market in Oregon with areas. They've got pockets of stronger areas that house prices are remaining, and they're not dropping. You're not seeing the price value drops that I'm seeing here, and even Arizona. I mean, the houses I'm looking at in Arizona, we're talking 5% deductions right now. And some of them, they've been on the market for over 30 days. Some of them aren't even staying on the market for more than 7 to 10 days, and they're doing a drop.
Yeah, it's changing down there. So Dwayne's got a question. Renee, I think you and I should chat, but Dwayne's got a question.
Yeah, the cowboy situation. What is that what instrument is that?
Convoy.
Convoy.
Okay. CONVOY, I think it is.
VOY. Convoy. Convoy Bank, or what is it?
Convoy Home Loans.
Home loan. Okay.
Sorry, I'm cheating. I'm eating some egg bites.
No, okay, cool. I gotta reach out to somebody about it because I need to refi one of my houses immediately.
Jonathan, you or I forget the other guy's name. I've got his email if you want. You just got to make sure put ORAAT in the subject line. Otherwise, you'll get pushed down to the bottom of the queue.
Okay.
And you might want to do that. Well, you might want to do that today. You know what? I'll go ahead and put it in here. He's going to get pissed at me, but that's okay. I got his email today because I went through the ORAT thing and it didn't
Yeah.
work for me. They said go to the website and do the drop down and we'll get to you. And it never worked. And so I'm like, well, I got somebody else. I'm like, wait a minute. You said if I did this thing, I'd talk to you. So he gave me his email. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna post it in the chat here. This is Jonathan.
Okay.
Well, you're only giving it out to a half dozen or
Yeah,
two, so he won't get too mad.
he'll be happy. But the reason I'm saying this, Dwayne, do it now because when that 5.8 thing drops, I think they're gonna get a little busy.
I do too. That's fine.
But there's some stipulations to that too. At the end of the day, they want 60% loan to value on that bad boy.
65. It was 35% down.
Oh, 65? Okay.
That's
Yep.
too heavy. That's way too heavy.
It could be, yeah. And plus you're getting locked in for 5 years. So you're definitely gonna have to, weigh the pros and cons about it.
Oh,
So
man.
that's better at 65 though. That's not too bad. That's good because I've got two that are 65% loan to value right now. And that 5.8, I think it saves me 300, so that'd be 600 and some change.
And
Actually, no,
there's
close to
so
400.
the stipulations on that was 740 plus credit score, 35%, 65 max LTV of 65%. There's something else I was thinking of. Oh, no cash out, just purchase or rate term.
Right.
Was the other thing.
Yeah,
I remember them saying.
You can't cash out, and you're locked in for 5 years.
And you are solidly locked in for 5 years.
Yeah, and my guess is that prepayment penalty is stiff.
I would imagine.
Yeah, so you better be locked in for 5 years because you hit the nail on the head. They're smart, right? Just like amortized loans where they front load the interest. That's exactly what they're doing. They're giving you that 5.8 at 65% because obviously they got a little bit of security there, so they can give you that 5.8. But the real value is that prepayment penalty, right? Let's say in 2 years, which is going to happen, I think the rates are going to drop. You're going to be at 5.8. Rates are going to be at 5, maybe 4.5. I mean, just let's say that happens. I'm not saying it is, but let's say that happens. You will pay that prepayment to get out of this. So they're making money on the back end on that deal. Plus, they got money, right? Just like you said, they got money sitting on the sidelines that they can't move, and they're getting desperate. They need to move that money. I'm even seeing it with some of the private money lenders on the side. But anyway, I think they're playing the numbers game, and I think they're pretty smart. They're not going to lose money.
I'm just amazed lately that the DSCR loans are going for less than a conventional loan on some deal, on some,
I was so okay. This is my hypothesis on that. And again, this is my hypothesis on that. I think the reasoning is maybe, just maybe, quietly, not publicly, that banks are because I know FHA are having challenges and issues with FHA as far as delinquent payments and that kind of stuff. And I wonder, and I can't help wonder if like the VA, and I would imagine the VA is having some challenges, but definitely FHA is. That's been reported. Is if there's been enough delinquencies, like payment delinquencies and that kind of stuff, not to where the banks are going to like put it into foreclosure because, what happened, the great financial crisis. And so they're going to be probably fairly selective, or they're going to roll those out over the course of time. But if there's enough delinquencies, and I know it's been reported, I wonder if they're starting to say, wait a minute, maybe the DSCR, which is all investors, maybe that's a safe, maybe it's still risky, but maybe it's not as risky as the owner-occ FHA and that kind of stuff, right? Like maybe they're actually starting to wake that up, and they're not going to admit it publicly because that'd be, think about it from a political point of view, to come out and say, well, investors are more reliable than primary homeowners. Like no one's going to, like, you'd have to be the dumbest person in the world to go out and say that publicly.
Another stipulation on that loan is it had to be between 150 and $1 million. Like in California, if you got over $1 million home, you can't do that. So that was the other
guideline. Oh, it was 150, not 100. For some reason, I thought it was 100, but okay.
Oh, maybe it was 100. I just know the cap was $1 million. I think they said
the cap was $1 million, but I thought the minimum loan payment was 100. So I'll have to go back and look at that. But that's my theory. My theory is that with all the delinquencies of the FHA, and if it is with the FHA, it's probably going to be VA and probably home ORAAT, which isn't reported. I bet you there's enough delinquencies on the primary residency, on payments and that kind of stuff with this awesome economy that we're in, and that's why the DSCR loans are being priced to where they are.
It's also
that's my theory. I can't prove it.
Well, the DSCRs are also based on a percentage above the Fed funds rate, whereas the 30-year fixed rate mortgage is based on the 10-year. So totally different metric as far as what they're basing their loan on. So it's actually right now and in the last couple months, it's been weird because some of the rates on the, like you were saying, the DSCR is lower because the Fed lowered their rates a whole point, right? Well, that DSCR is based on that, from what I understand. I'm not a banker.
Yeah, but
then your 30-year right went up because the freaking 10-year went up. So that's why.
Right, but Jared, if you look, so there's going to be a risk premium that we're not viewing, and the 10-year and the 5-year price at the exact same spot, and so even when you break it down to 30-year fixed rate debt for ORAAT versus what some of these DSCR lenders, they're practically the same thing. So that risk premium has gone down. So that risk premium from the people that are using DSCR, that are funding these DSCR loans, has dropped because the 5-year and 10-year are the same. And yes, 30 years using the 10-year and the DSCR is using the 5-year, but they're practically the same spot. And so, one should be at least 50, if not 70 basis points higher than the other, and it's not. So that risk premium has changed, and that's where my theory comes from.
I don't know that the DSCR is based on the 5-year, though. Who knows? I think different.
Convoy said it in some of their videos that I remember a year ago, because I remember taking note of it, that kind of thing.
I
remember that not all of them is going to be 5-year.
Yeah, there's it varies, right? Like there's I met a group in Arizona, and they're it's not really, well, it's a private equity group, right? And they will do loans if you have some history, and it's one of those know a guy kind of things, know a person kind of things. But theirs is based totally different, because I remember they had really good rates. I didn't qualify because I didn't have 2 years of tax returns at that time. I still don't. So I get 2 years of tax returns, I'll be going back to those guys.
Yeah, I'm just saying, for DSCR loans to be priced basically the same, and if not slightly lower than even your ORAAT loans, right, and not to be 50 to 75 basis points higher. I just think, quietly speaking, not that anybody's going to admit it out loud, I think that risk premiums change, and we don't have access to that because obviously that's going to be internal for each fund, but I think Wall Street has quietly changed what the risk premium is on the investor versus ORAAT. Now, that doesn't mean Fannie and Freddie has changed theirs, but I'm talking, I think the investors have.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to try to get a DSCR in DC right now and see what they tell you. Sorry. Chester, wealth building journey, for you guys that know, I don't think he's in school, but he's in Dion's Talk and Zuber's. Anyway, he's been in DC. He's been analyzing for the DC market for 2 years, and finally about 6 months ago he gave up and he bought in Detroit. And so after all this Doge stuff, I was like, hey man, aren't you glad you didn't buy in DC? And he's like, yeah, because I mean, I know that the headlines are way inflated than what's actually happening, because if you look at the data, it's not that bad yet, but the headlines are saying, oh, DC's crashing market, blah blah blah.
Anyway. Well, you got to remember, the headlines think if something goes down 1%, it's going to crash for the next century. So,
and they're trying to either sell clicks or sell. I guess they don't do papers anymore. Maybe they do, but sell eyeballs is what they're doing. So, all right, let's see. So, Dwayne, did we get to you? We got yours. I think we had a question. Renee, did you have something too?
Nope, nothing else. I'm going to get off. I got your number. I'm going to give you a call.
Nice.
I text you, so I'm sure you'll get it.
Oh, okay, cool.
You weren't looking, so I didn't care. But no, let's chat. Be awesome.
Awesome, yeah. Because I live in Oregon and I invest in Arizona, so we're in the same market. So we might as well.
Except for I'm living in Minnesota and I want to ship the snow to you guys. So
yeah. Well, you said you were looking in Oregon anyway. So.
Oh no, I'm getting back to either or the Northwest as soon as possible. Sooner the better.
My neighbor's house, like this whole street is all owners, but the neighbor is a rental, and they just moved out, and I heard they're going to sell it. So Be
Maybe.
neighbors.
Yeah, exactly. Have a great evening.
All right, see you. Okay, cool. All right, so we're at 2:40. How we doing? People feel like want to go down some other topics or
I was going to ask this question if you don't mind. So I'm on that county website and it says living 4 units. It doesn't give me that property tax bill. Is it common for the counties not to show you the property tax bill? Because I know in both Oregon and Delaware, I view them fairly easily, to see the bill of like what the property taxes are for 2024 or what the bill was for 2024 on that. Is that common?
anybody know? I don't know.
They don't necessarily show you like the taxes or what's been paid. You would have to call the revenue. The revenue office knows that, and then they would have to point to where they make it public on the website. I don't think they hide it. I know the taxes are public information, but you gotta like, call, and there's a cycle as to when they publicize that information. Over it's about a year sometimes. How they reconcile it.
Yeah, because I know, like right here, I'm looking at it. It says assessment history, right? And I can see the assessment history. Normally, like for Marion County in Oregon and for Newcastle County in Delaware, I just I can pull up the bill. So you would have the assessed value, but then you also get to see what's being charged to them for that year. Not necessarily when they paid, although I know from my time working at a bank, we have to go see if property taxes are delinquent or not. And so we'll go to their websites and see if they're, anyways, if they're not paid, they'll usually say it's delinquent or something like that. But it's weird to me here looking at this, seeing the assessed value and not seeing what the actual dollar amount they're charging for that. So anyways.
All righty, Rudy. I'm surprised nobody brought up the $5,000 stimulus check thing.
They're gonna, if they give that money away, they're gonna do it. Did I hear Zuber say this? I heard Zuber say this. When they give that away, it'll be around when the senators come back in for re-election next July.
Yeah, that's probably a good bet.
Yeah. What drives me nuts about that is we need like some massive investment in our infrastructure in this country, like massive. We haven't done it like since the 50s, whatnot. And I know everybody wants their dividend and so forth, but it's like, take that money and fix all the water pipes, fix the water pipes, fix the bridges that are coming down everywhere. And then if you have something left over that, great, send out a dividend, but just invest in your infrastructure because long term, that money being in that infrastructure is going to be way more beneficial to all of us than you getting that $5,000 and you getting $5,000 or $2,000, whatever, and going on the supplement to your vacation for that year. But that's just me.
Are you kidding me? Give me the money.
I was gonna say, I'd rather take it, brother. I mean, this system, the bureaucratic system, is so huge. That's why Trump got elected, is to solve that problem, try to get some money back. And if Doge is doing nothing else, at least it's taking a look at things. And I don't know
Yeah,
if
no,
that
I agree
means
with you there. I mean, if even if some of it's being exaggerated, whatnot, it doesn't matter. For the fact that it's so bad that you can even say some of that stuff, to me, that's as big as indicator as anything else.
I don't know how it's legal to just give away money without saying where it goes. They left the field blank for $7
right.
trillion.
That's crazy. That's sick. These people, it's sick. It's just and then to put up protections like we don't want you to look at it. No,
Well,
expose.
and then imagine
Put it
this:
out there. Put it out there.
you have a bridge that falls down somewhere, or or you have cities in Michigan where they can't drink the water because of the pipes, right? And you have this mysterious stash of trillions of dollars, and you magically can't go in there and find, you know, whatever, $1 billion or a couple hundred million to fix that, like, you know, for the people that need, you know, for that town or whatever that needs it. It's unbelievable to me. It's just, I mean, the lack of caring for the people you
I,
quote represent is just, I don't know. To me,
yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I don't know how it's legal. Like, don't they follow accounting principles even at minimum?
Nope. They didn't even have.
Absolutely. You're asking way too much.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't have that.
Can't have that, brother. There's too many people skinning that pig, bro. Too much going on in that thing, man.
Not anymore.
In the Congress, it's like it's both parties are in it too.
They are. It's a deep state, bro. It's like they all get fed the same thing. You know, it's just
Yep.
weird.
They say different things, but their actions say the same thing.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I'm posting in the chat the what OpenAI or ChatGPT told me about the DSCR loans based on SOFR, like I was saying, and then lender's risk premium, like you were saying, Lars, and then market conditions, and then treasury yields indirectly. So 4 different things.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
you
think
guys
that risk premium has changed. I mean, I can't prove it, but just looking at the rates and seeing how they've changed in comparison to the 10-year, you know, from conventional using, and I also just when I'm searching for, oh, hey, I want to buy this property, what are the rates? I'll ask the question like, well, hey, if I move into it, what's the rate? Hey, if you know, and they're like, okay, this is your rate, right? And then I go, okay, well, it's going to be investment property. What's the rate? And they give me that rate. And then I go, you know, and then I'll email Convoy or somebody, what's the DSCR rate? And I'm telling you, over the last 2 years, that spread and that difference comparable to that 10-year or even that 5-year, it's all changed.
Yeah.
And again, no, I don't think anybody's going to be dumb enough to go on TV and say, yeah, but I think something has internally changed within Wall Street saying, you know, their risk profile has changed there.
Hey, you know what? I can't believe I haven't mentioned this sooner. If you are you got so I'm using AI a lot for descriptions of property listings, different market things and things like if you guys aren't using the chat GPT, that's part of the reason that my houses are pretty full now. Is because I took what I had and I said, hey, chat GPT, make this better, given that this is my strategy, this is the market, these are what I'm trying to cater to. And it wrote a beautiful, I was like, holy crap. So I posted that up there on one of the properties, and it wasn't a week. I had those 2 rooms filled, and that hadn't happened before. So, you know, obviously PadSplit's the one doing the marketing and bringing people to the page, but that description and the pictures, by the way, has been a game changer for me. So if you guys aren't using that, I think you should definitely look into using AI tools.
I do. I use it to it really helps me talk to my lawyers about contracts. You know, because I'm not an esquire, and law, as you know, is a different language.
Yeah.
So like I'm in the middle of a flip to couch to couch my liability. I receive my contract, and before I serve it to my contractor, my GM, my GC, I ask ChatGPT, where am I liable in this language?
Nice.
Take me out the shithole. Like right now, please. And it'll say, okay, the 3 basic areas that are not covered and your liability lies here, here, and here. And it's at least one of those areas that I say re-articulate the contract to cover this, so that we're both liable, or I'll just split the difference between me and the GC. So nice. I do a lot of that, like because I don't know everything, and that's not my job. My job is not to know everything. So
you can use it. I took it and used prior contracts because this last one, the last house I bought was off market, so that was cool. And these offers I've been making are unrepresented buyers. And so what I did was I took my contracts, fed it through, and said, build me one for myself. Bam. And then I didn't do this, but you should have your lawyer look at that.
Yeah.
But I cheated. I didn't get either one of the houses anyway. But you should.
But Jared, I think it's good that at least the lawyer wants to bill you. My lawyers are very expensive.
Yeah.
But if they want to bill you, be like, no, you don't have to bill me up on 15 minutes. Shut your mouth and get your paralegal. Not you, because you are $450 an hour. Your paralegal should be around $175 to $200 an hour, and just 15 minutes. and then bill me, and that's it. I did the work, so don't, you know.
The other thing you could do is if you come to a lawyer with nothing and you're from scratch, they're going to spend time building
Oh,
up.
yes, but yeah.
But if you have at least a template and a baseline, you're going to save yourself a few bucks because they don't have to start from scratch. For me, I'm cheating because my brother's a contract lawyer, so I'm like, hey.
Oh man, you got
Well, hey, that's in Pace's thing, he has this contract. This is something everybody should listen to just in general. There's this JV contract, right? If you're ever JVing with somebody, look at something like this. I would have never caught this, but my brother and the way his brain works, there's this contract where you have party A, party B, and party C, right? And let's say the seller is party A and party B and C are buying the property or whatever it is you're doing, right? In this clause, it said something along the lines of if the contract doesn't fulfill or if something happens, the 20% of the whatever earnest money or whatever it was goes back to basically the seller or whoever. But and this isn't in the form. My brother's like, well, wait a minute. What happens if party B is in cahoots with party A and they bring in party C, they do the deal, and then the seller, let's say, tanks the deal, or the party B tanks the deal. The money percentage of it goes back to party A, and then they split the profit. I would have never thought of that. So if you're partnering with somebody, obviously know who they are, but also the verbiage in the contracts is very important. Like that, to me, I know Pace drafted it and wonderful. I took that out of my JV contracts. Like, nope, that's not. I don't need that in there. I don't want that in there.
Yeah. Now, Pace and what's the other guy? There's another guy that that has this flip software. He's out there. I think he's in Arizona. Jerry something, I forget.
Norton. Yeah.
Norton, yeah. He has a lot. Him and Pace have a lot of template contracts out there. It's pretty cool.
Well, Jerry gives his away for free. I've got all his as well. And
okay.
Yeah, that's another best known method too, man. Go out there to these free sites. Like look at Jason Pritchard. You guys should go to jasonpritchard.com. That dude, he put everything out there for free. Bigger Pockets has all the leason the different states. Let me put Jason's website in here. You guys love this.
Pritchard's pretty good. Yeah.
That guy, I love that freaking guy. jasonpritchard.com. I just went to that site and downloaded everything he had. So there you go. I put it in the chat. jasonpritchard.com. For anybody listening in Futureland, it's JASONPRITCHARD.com. And the guy is awesome. And he was at ORAAT last year and this year. He'll flip like 3 or 4 houses and keep one. He'll flip for income and then save the property for an income generating property, but the property also matches his tax burden. So at the end of the year, he's a zero-sum game, or he's got bonus in the bank for future. So he's one hell of an operator, and that's why Zuber says he's on his Mount Rushmore of investors. So now I don't ever want to do what he's doing, but I admire what he's doing and how he's doing it.
Yeah. I like Pritchard. I respect his humility. I really do.
Yeah. He was smarter than me. He got out of corporate, and I stayed in corporate for 24, still in it. But he did like 12, 13 years and said, I'm out, but I'm an idiot. I'm staying in it. But that's okay. I got about 2 more years, and I think I'll be out.
Arizona. I'm thinking about, man, you're making me think. You're influencing me. You're making me think about Arizona, about this PadSplit thing. I never really. Yeah, man. I got in a tussle with Mike, a friendly one, a really good dialogue with him about. I told him, convince me that a PadSplit is not a room and board and house. Number one. Number two, convince me that if I tell anybody on that block, no matter any block in America, unless you have a very unique circumstance like New York or San Francisco or some unique urban community, but any block in America, you tell them you're going to put a PadSplit house on their block, I'm not seeing nobody on that block raise their hand and say yes. so that was always a turn off for me, because I when I lived in Philadelphia, it's the idea and the cash flow is nice, but in Philadelphia, they tried to put a PadSplit or a room and boarding house on our block. And we were like, oh no, not for what you think it's going to be, but for what we know it's going to become in the city. So we knew in about 3 to 5 years, it would start off one way and end up being a crack house. or some kind of weird situation.
Yeah.
And so we didn't want that on our block. We were like, no. And we got a block captain involved, we got the Congress involved, and they turned it into another program where it's just single moms and
Yeah.
and kids.
So I do have contingencies, right? Like Section 8 will do rent by room. And then there's also Oxford House, which is sober living, which let's say the neighborhood came after me. First option would be try to do Oxford House. Now I wouldn't get the income, but they pay about 25% over long-term rents and they do 3-year leases. But with that strategy, you have to have a common area. So what I would have to do is take down one of the rooms and put a couch and have a common area if I wanted to do that. So that's one. Two, bail, right? Just take the walls down and sell it, or try to sell it as is to somebody else. But so far it's been good. And the reason it's been good is I don't buy in A-class neighborhoods. I buy in like C plus, B minus. And typically the houses aren't the best shape. So I go in and fix everything up, paint the house, maintain the yard, so nobody has an excuse to come, yell at me. And it's actually better than it was before. And
right.
I do, if the neighbors are around, if they present themselves in the couple months when I'm around, and they have so far in every house, I talk to them, get to know them, they get to know me. And if they ask for something, I do it immediately. Like I was telling you guys before, Scott, one of the 2 swamp coolers taken off, did that. Vern didn't like the fact that the mailbox was all beat up and he'd been staring at it, another house. And so fine, replace the mailbox. You know what I mean? Like little stupid stuff like that.
Right.
That helps. I'm not going to say it's going to mitigate it, but it helps the neighbors say, hey, look, this person's going to take care of the property. And hey, it looks better than it was. And put a new roof on one, stuff like that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking about it though. But I can't say, I told Mike, I can't say it doesn't work everywhere. I'm just yet to see it. Like I've never seen nobody raise their hand, but like, yeah, put that on my block. Not like, I'm like, I don't care.
That's true. That's true. But
but I want to pick your brain about that, because if it works in Arizona, I might be interested.
Yeah. Yeah, it works in places that you might not want it to work in, though. Like I'll say I stay the hell out of South Phoenix. I don't go anywhere near there.
Oh, okay.
So on the west side, I'm north, and on the east side, I'm south. It's kind of bass backwards, but just
South
because of
Phoenix.
the neighborhoods. Yeah, man, I don't like when the cops don't go there. I don't go there.
That's bad. That's right. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, like
south side of Chicago is bad too. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a place called Marysville, and I call it Scarysville because I ain't going anywhere near that place.
Oh wow. Thanks. That really helped. I want to talk to you about that.
Yeah, hit me up. I think you have my number, don't you?
Yeah. I don't know about your number, but I'll probably hit you up on school.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll put it in here just in case anybody else. I post it everywhere else, so as well. Let's put my number in the chat. That one I won't read out loud because it's gonna go.
All right. Yeah. I'll let me record it. Yeah. Thanks. Then I could start texting you and patronizing you.
Hey, do you guys do, like, this is off topic, I guess, but do you guys do any like affiliate stuff or like Amazon links or anything like that? Nobody? Well, I did it as just, I don't know, as a joke kind of thing, couple months, or I guess May of last year I did it. And I didn't realize I've been getting paid. I thought it was credits that my wife was returning something from Amazon. My affiliate links are actually paying me like $14 a month.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's just, I put in maybe a half hour work back in May of last year and getting about $14 a month. That's a hell of a return on your time. I mean, it's not a big amount of dollars, but just the fact that something's happening that I'm not doing any work on, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I've never done that.
Because I know the next question that comes up, Dwayne, is like when we get into this and talk, whatever, people usually ask me, well, what about when they get far enough down the line where they're actually interested in doing something, looking for properties, and we get by all that, then they ask about products. And I'm like, oh, funny you mentioned that, because I did some exhaustive, I lived in the house and bought all kinds of different products and tested each one of them and eliminated all of them, but the ones I have on my YouTube channel in the description field, I have all the products I bought. Well, just so happens those links are affiliate links back to Amazon. So when they click on them and buy them, I get like a penny here or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Not really doing it for the money. It's just more of fun, like
that's slick.
I didn't put a lot of effort into it. So there you go. And they're happy. I'm happy. They don't have to pay any extra or anything. So it works out pretty good. All right. Well, it looks like we're down to 7. That's half of what we were at 15. any topics or anything? Anybody? It's 3 o'clock my time. I'm not sure what time it is your guys' time, but
6 my time. I think I'm about to drop.
all right.
Man, I ain't talked to you guys in so long. It felt real good to I think it's been October, maybe. And then Lars here. Lars always has a good deal. I'm gonna have to Lars got this, he got this spider juice. It just works. And he's like, hey, let me just put this idea out there. And I'm like, oh my God, here it comes. I'm gonna want it. I'm gonna want it.
Yeah. Well, I signed up with Jessica. I forget her last name, but she was on Matt the Lumberjack's channel a couple weeks ago, and she's a deal finder. So
oh, okay.
She's not cheap. She's $500-600 a month, but I'm gonna sign up and do it because if Lumberjack recommends her, I'm gonna try.
What's
it.
her name? I wouldn't mind signing up too. What's her name?
Jessica.
what?
Jessica something. Let me look at my calendar.
She has a website.
I'd like to remind people too, and this is very area dependent. How much, especially with the north side, I'm like, as a buyer, how much does your agent cost? For me, it can be $10,000 to $15,000 for a closing. So $500 a month is cheap.
Right.
Yeah,
That ain't bad.
That's
that
true.
ain't bad. That's a good point. It's a really good point, Robert.
And after meeting Robert this weekend, sorry, Robert, I'm not trying to dig on. I actually really appreciate it. Robert's the kind of guy that he's going to do a cost benefit analysis on that. So if Robert's saying that's cheap, I'm going to take that with the higher.
It's a really good point, Robert. Super good
Well,
point.
it depends on your market. I mean, like the lowest I'm buying something for is 300,000. I could be buying something up to like 800,000 in my market. So, for me in a higher costing market, if you're trying to find off market deals that are like 50 to 100,000, well, maybe it isn't worth it for you as much. For me, it's definitely worth it. Do the cost yourself. How much is the 2% buyer fee versus Gen, and do that math. And I'd say if it pays itself, if Gen pays it is like, I'm just going to throw out a random number, whatever you're comfortable with, but like 6 months of like of buyer agents commissions, I'd say it's really damn worth it.
Good point. Jessica, you got that? You got her website? Oh, you went mute.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it now. I'm searching for it. I thought her name was Jessica, and I thought my meeting's at during Dion Talk this Tuesday at 4 o'clock. So I looked on my calendar and it's not there either. So that's got me concerned.
I'm pretty sure it's linked in that video that Matt did.
Yeah, it is. That's how I got to her. I can't remember the name of it. I'll have
That's
to.
a really good point. That 500. That's because I was gonna. She do across the nation?
Yeah,
or
nationwide.
Oh man, you got me. Now this call was really worth it. Oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, I've never seen Matt other than main bean counters, but Matt's not a guy that's gonna, in my opinion, push a service, especially one that he hasn't used. He has used it. And so to me, that caught my attention. Like, whoa, I don't see Matt usually pushing stuff that much. I mean, he's cabinets and things like that, but not a service, other than the main bean counters. I'm gonna have to scroll through here and find it because.
Well, you could. I'm gonna text you. You could text it to me later on.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Well, it's in Matt about what was it? Robert Mount maybe 3 weeks ago. I think he met with Jessica and who else? Marcus Shiro just had her on his channel too. Financial firefighter. So she showed up there too.
Okay.
What the hell is her name? It's got me concerned because I just accepted the meeting.
Dwayne, when you were away from the table, I was talking with Mike. Mike said he could pre-qualify his seats at when he focused for his PadSplits.
You went out there. Your signals dropped.
How about now, Jess? Let me get rid of the video. Here, try that without the video.
Oh, so I can hear you now.
Check.
Yep, I can get you. Yep.
Okay.
It wasn't Jessica, it was Jennifer, the founder.
Jennifer.
Yeah.
Mike said that he uses a lead service And if I'm not mistaken, a lot of these were owner finance in Arizona and California on in the world that Jared plays in. So I can't remember the last name, can't pronounce it. The young Army officer uses a lead service for him as well. Saves a lot of time, he said.
Okay. They automate everything. That's slick.
Yeah, so this I just put her email in there, but I'm not sure if that's the right way to contact her. Maybe that's what I did, but if you put lumberjack in the title, I think that's what Matt asked us to do, so that's what I did. And she'll send you a Calendly link, and then you can. It's Jennifer Stewart, is her name.
Okay.
And that 500 a month is not the top tier either. So I'm just going to do it for like 2 or 3 months just to do it. And it's not a get a lead tomorrow. It's not a get a lead today. It's a get a lead tomorrow kind of thing for me. So I figured, I'll do what Robert's saying, that cost benefit analysis over time. Right. So I that third deal I got was something I was talking to somebody a long time ago about, and he just, people know people, right? And so like they say, this real estate's a relationship business. I know we're dwindling here, but that is absolutely true, because I would have never got that third property for 120 grand off if I hadn't been networking that whole year before and talking to people and telling people what I'm doing. And it just so happened a guy knew a guy that knew a person that knew this guy that was in trouble and needed to sell it, and they called me up. I was like, yeah, man, let's do it. So but I want to get those leads so I can follow up with people over the course of time. And they mentioned something in that video I thought was really interesting. Speaking of course of time, 2 years. Both Lumberjack and Jennifer were saying that, hey, sometimes sellers that are doing, want to do seller finance or anything like that, or maybe for whatever reason they don't want to list it, they don't want to clean it up, or who knows what the myriad of issues are where they don't want to list it, is they'll have a number in their head, right? And then let's say the last 2-3 years where inflation just took off. Well, sometimes that number's here and your offer's here. And Matt said in that video, he goes, it's not no forever. It's just no today. Right. And so over time, they've had several occasions where they're still hammering on the leads and leads and leads, and they come back around and follow up every month or two. And next thing you know, that price that they had in their head is still there. And then inflation caught up to it and then passed it to where now it makes sense to you, an investor, to buy it at that price. Maybe the market has appreciated, or maybe the rents have gone, or whatever other stuff has happened. So there's those things to keep in mind. I think it's not only time in the market, like as far as, you don't want to time in the market, but it's also time as an investor in leads and being in that world, not time in market for your house appreciating, but time you out there searching for your niche or your thing or whatever. So other people get to know you. Like I've got agents now that are pinging me like, hey, I don't want to buy it, but the guy hit me up and said, hey, I got a house in Tempe. It's already, this would be something somebody else might want. I don't want it. But it's a 6-bedroom house with college kids in it, right next to ASU. They have the parent, and it's populated, and they have the parents co-signed on it. I'm like, that's good for some people. I don't want any part of that, man. But all right, well, we're down to what, 4 or something like that. Cool. Anybody have any last minute things before we wrap this bad boy up?
Okay, Charles has some more questions about
that deal in Tempe. How's that contract work?
What do you mean?
The parents sign for.
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. I just the agent brought it to me, and I said send it over. I don't want it, but here's a known method or a thing for you guys. Like, you get deals, don't tell people no. Go ahead and take them, right? And this is what Matt and other people do too. Go ahead and grab the deal and then look at it and say, hey, basically you can pass that deal off to somebody else. Now, I know a lot of people do the assignment thing, and you do what you want, but I don't do that. I just, hey, this is something doesn't fit me, I'll pass it off. Like Henry Washington recently wanted a loan, right? And I was like, cool, yeah, let me look at it. And he's a year. Well, I'm a 6-month and under lender. So I told him, hey, I said no to Henry Washington. I know, crazy. I was trying to make it work too. I was like, man, I really want to do this because it's Henry Washington, right? He's a cool dude, by the way. Anyway, but I turned it down, but I took that and said, hey, I put it into this other group with like 130 private money lenders, or there's more now. And I said, hey, anybody want this? And I stay out of it, so I don't know if anything happened. But I would say you're adding value to other investors and other whoever's when you take those deals and you just freely give them away to somebody else, because it's not anything for you. I mean, you could try to do the assignment thing and make a buck, and I'm not judging if you do. Just me personally, I don't do that. I just pass it along, and then that way somebody's happy, and then who knows, maybe a year from now they'll have something and pass something back to me. You never know.
Yeah, you're going to get paid anyway.
Yeah, and I'm not worried about it. I think this is all fun, like talking to you guys and all this. It's fun for me listening to what, because before April of 2023, I didn't even know this was possible, right? I didn't even think, it never. I mean, I knew it was out there, kind of thing, but until you actually do it and then you proof that concept out, it's just, to me, it was like, that's so far out there, and then you go and do it, and you're like, holy crap! And then your whole paradigm changes. At least mine did.
Well, something ran across us that I wasn't sure about. It looks like a duplex, but it looks like there might be 5 or 6 rooms. It's sub 200 by a school, and my plate feels kind of full right now. But I know it's where my mom went to college, and I just want to learn some more information. But that's why I was asking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll help with whatever I can, but I don't know the market. That's why Dion is so good, man. He looks at things. I don't know how he does it, but he has like a different brain, and he looks at stuff just way different. Well, he's been doing it for 10, 12 years. So he's got that.
Some people just got a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. I suck at marketing, and some people are really good at marketing. And I don't
You're not
understand.
that bad at marketing.
What's that?
You're not that bad at marketing.
I mean, member acquisition, like people, I've tried it multiple times and I suck at it. So, and I've taken the tips for people to do, but that's okay. I mean, I'm good with systems and processes and acquisition and all the other stuff. So I figure, hey man, I'm batting 9 out of 10. I'm happy.
Yeah.
But my wife, she's really good at, I see function, right? I look at a house and I see function and I see walls. She sees it totally different view. Like, yeah, dude. Yeah. Form, and I don't want to say pretty, but pretty, oh, if we did this and we did, I was like, okay, cool, whatever, knock yourself out. And so she does all that stuff and it looks awesome. She's like, well, if the cameraman takes a picture here, you want this position here, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't get any of that stuff. I see numbers, I see bricks and sticks, and I see income. You know what I mean? I don't see all that form stuff.
Yeah, I've got the same lenses on.
Yeah.
For the biggest part. So it's we'll kind of see what happens. It's amazing to learn how these pieces fit. So even though you're not like, it's not your appetite today, but as you know what it should look, smell, and taste like before you get there.
Yeah. And you get some of that, like what Zuber says about the daily discipline, looking at your market every day for 20 minutes.
Yep.
You get a lot of that from that, believe it or not. It's the same. I'll give you a story and I'll try to wrap this up. But back before I got out of the Army and I was a mechanic, and I was working as a mechanic and going to college and working 3 jobs and that whole thing. And I wanted to get into a more lucrative job instead of turning wrenches. And so I wanted to get into IT. Now, this is back in the late 90s, right? So, and of course, the .com bust and all that. But I wanted to get into it. Well, I didn't know enough about it to get into it, but I had interviewed at like 35 different companies over the course of like 4 or 5 months, that based on the questions of the interview. Now, this is back before, AI and all that stuff. So based on the questions they were asking me, I would write down and go research later, and at least I would know the answer. Now, judge me if you will, but I would know how to answer the questions, but not in depth, right? Like not at all. But it was enough on my like 36th interview to get the job. And then I was like, oh shit, now I have a job. I had to learn fast, man. Like day one, I'm still this is back before Google, man. So it worked out. But anyway, so it's the same kind of thing with this. You're going to know that market, look at something pops up like this Chandler house I just got. It was listed for $460. It's in a 550 or better market all day long. And it was the worst, by far the worst house in the best neighborhood. And so I thought, all right, I knew it needed a roof. I knew cosmetically it was a disaster, and I got all that. And I was still fine with it. I'd put 40 grand in it or 50 or whatever I had to do. The roof was like 10 grand. But what I didn't know and what found out later, the foundation was a disaster. There was some other issues, and so I was like, ended up not doing it. But I knew it. There was a good deal, although it ultimately didn't work out, which sucked. But you don't know that unless you analyze that market and know the trends. Like I can tell you right now, I think Renee was on here. She was saying that things were dipping, and they are. And I'm not worried about it anyway. I'm buying the dip, or I'll buy it even if it dips down because I'm not selling tomorrow. I want the cash flow. So I want cash flow with the potential for appreciation. So appreciation for me is 5-10 years down the road. I don't care right now as long as there's a potential there. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it sounds like you described it, prepping for a promotion board in the released Marine Corps. Answer a whole bunch of questions that they need to hear before you get your actual opportunity.
Yeah, I was in the Army, so we did it differently.
And yeah, I don't blame you. Turning a wrench into something better is these skills transfer. The same engineers.
Yeah, I didn't have a choice. I can't. Well, I guess I can. I don't know if you can see this. Kind of gross, but that there's two bones, and my bone on the outside here moves independently, so it's not secured in the wrist. So when I turn wrenches, it pops, and it's a disaster. So I couldn't do it. It happened in the Army. So and a long story there, but anyway, yeah, I couldn't do it anymore. So had to do something that wasn't physical.
That happens.
Mm-hmm.
That happens.
Cool, guys. I think we'll go ahead and end it here, I guess. Thanks. Is it so you're logged in as Miss McCoon? Is that
Mrs. McCune? Yeah.
okay.
So she logged on her phone first.
Okay,
I'm
gotcha.
holding the phone. He's driving.
Oh, got it. I was like, how does that work?
Pulling the Bobcat behind us. We had to take hay out, had to go to baptism, had to get a battery
cool
for her mom's car. So
yep.
Do you?
So I'm holding the phone so he doesn't get in trouble.
Got it. So do you always take a Bobcat to baptism, or?
It's been frozen, so I needed to get the round bale out before it thawed, and the Bobcat would tear the heck out of the ground this morning.
Yeah.
And then we had to get over after mass and do the whole dog and pony show for my cousin, and yeah, it took a lot longer than I thought it was. I've still got an aircraft to service because I think I'm flying to work tomorrow. So.
Nice.
No, we're Baptist, so yes, we like the deep water, but it was a Catholic baptism today, so they just did a little sprinkle.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But the show was good.
I was picturing like the Bobcat. I don't know if it has a bucket on it, but a bucket with somebody in it dunking in the water and then bringing it up or something. That would be crazy. So.
I'll just share this really quick. Last March, it was last Easter, on Easter Day, I got baptized. And again, we're Baptist, and they didn't fill the baptismal up all the way. And so when they dunked me, they realized they didn't get me all the way submerged. So he dunked me again. And I came up, and I mean, I'm trying not to laugh, but I'm like, he had to dunk me twice. So, oh, that was funny. But anyways, yes, thank you so much for the information. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great group.
Oh, I'm good. Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend.
You too.
You too.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.